Sills, where truth, justice, and the Big Sills way resides. And all of you. The only show that takes no shit from anyone. Well, some. No names needed. No names needed. And here we are again. I'll tell you, this is like As the World Turns in Philly. This is just great. I mean, there's new shit every day. By the way, the fireside chat. The fireside chat that was at the Indy Combines today. You know, I learned nothing. Then again, I wasn't expecting nothing. Now, at the end of the day, too, hey, today we're going to be talking a lot of football and where to go. You know, I hear people talking about, well, I'd like to get this particular free agent. I'd like this guy here. Hey, kid, you better take your wallet out before you start barking about what kind of player you want on your team when you know that your general manager doesn't spend cash at particular positions and they value particular positions and they devalue other positions. You can have this fantasy football team that you want all these guys. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Always remember, certain positions, the Eagles shop at the dollar store. There's very few positions on the football team that they shop at Neiman Marcus. Very few. I mean, they're not going to go out and get the top end guy. Who is the biggest free agent? Can somebody help me out here before we get going here? Oh, Marcus Haynes is his column in the Inquirer. I treat that guy better than that guy. I treat this guy better than that guy. Is it because he makes more money? How could you treat anybody better when you're 1-7? When you're 1-7 and you're getting your ass kicked in, how are you treating anybody good? Right? I treat you all like dogs. That's one of the great lines of all time about Bear Bryant. Bear Bryant was the head coach of Alabama back in the day. And John Hanna and Sylvester Croom were doing a special for Alabama football playing under Bear Bryant. And John Hanna was asked the question, hey, did Coach Bryant treat the black players different than the white players? Sylvester Croom goes, no, I never felt that. He treated everybody like shit. And I was like, you see, that to me, okay, that's how most locker rooms are run. Hey, no, he didn't really look at it that way. He just treated everybody like shit. Okay, I mean, John Hanna was like, that's not how I took it. If you played for Coach Bryant, it didn't matter what you look like, where you're from, what color you are. He treated you like shit no matter what. He treated Namath like shit. That's just the way that coach worked. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay? One of the absolute greats. Greats. So let's get into this article in the Inquirer a little bit. What do you guys make of this? Treating Jalen Hurts different or A.J. Brown different than the other guys. What do you guys make of it? I'm going to do something here that you guys are not going to believe. And I can't believe that I'm going to do this. I'm going to defend Nick Sirianni. Okay? And I'm going to call the players in the locker room soft and wormy here. And this goes into A.J. Brown and some of the guys in the locker room that don't have a backbone. You think you have leadership with your football team, with the players? The players are also accountable now. Going off that article that I read, let me just go here with you. So a head coach treats star players better than shitty players. I'm sorry, guys. I was raised in that environment. You think Jimmy Johnson treated Troy Aikman the same as some third team or fourth team quarterback? Or do you think that Michael Irvin was treated the same as Queasy Watkins? Who are these moaners in the locker room? I don't give a shit if you're treated poorly and you're a fourth team dude. Sack up. Play better. He's not treating me well. Dude, you're not good enough to be treated well. There's a hierarchy in the NFL locker rooms. It's not a democracy, guy. It's a dictatorship. I've learned a lot from that article, and some people thought that I was going to kill Nick. Nick's right here. Hey, Hurts, you're here. Hey, Bob, Avis and Hurts, you're over there in the little kiddies table with the sippy cup. Are you crazy? Now, look, I'm not talking about calling that guy an asshole and treating Jalen different than as a man. There's a way. You think Mike Tomlin treats everybody the same in his locker room? Give me a break. Do people get treated in business? So you're telling me, your top salesman, if you're working at a sales company or you're working at an insurance company and one guy sells 1 million insurance policies in a month and the next guy sells 10, you're treating that guy the same? Not happening. Not happening. That's not how I was raised in the locker room. Hey, man, you had to earn every single thing you got. And if that coach started recognizing you and acknowledging you, that's when you knew you were moving up the depth chart. These Eagle players, or some of them, feel entitled because they're Eagle players. Hey, guy, hey, Queasy, you are not a good player. You will never be treated like Devontae Smith unless you start making catches, brick hands. You think that you're going to be treated like A.J. Brown? Queasy Watkins is probably one of these guys that are crying in the locker room. These guys are all being treated differently. They get targets. Shut up. You suck. Shut up. You suck. I just was raised in a locker room that was nothing like that. Hey, this is a democracy. Everybody's treated the same. Give me a break. Nobody in life is treated the same. Hey, do you live in a mansion? Do you? I know I don't. I know I don't. Life ain't fair. Welcome to the real world. NFL guys, man. Some of these guys, you got some real worms in your locker room. So wait a minute. You got inexperienced coaches and some wormy dudes in your locker room. Hey, man, that really spells out a great season. Damn, dude. Yeah, I'm going to treat Jason Kelsey the same as I'm going to treat the third team center. I don't think so. What's your name again? Sorry, what's your name again? Wake me up, kid, when you make a play. You think I'm treating the Kobe Dean like I would treat Jeremiah Trotter Sr.? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So when Marcus writes that column for the Inquirer, a toxic environment, that's toxic environment that the players did, not the coach. The coach is right here. Hey, man, you produce, you win, you get extra benefits. You ever watch Wall Street? Greed is good. Greed is good. Hey, when you do well, buddy, you get all the perks. When you suck, you're Queasy Watkins. Now, wait a minute here. C24 is thinking, what that has nothing to do with in-game coaching. That has to do with how you handle your locker room. Nobody in their right mind in any NFL locker room thinks that you treat Patrick Mahomes the same as Chase Daniels. You don't really believe that, do you? Now, again, I'm not talking differently or talking shit to Chase. You suck, sit over. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, man, you know, these guys, man, they were treated different than me because they're better than you. I saw a lot of people today kind of run away from that column because they don't want to go after little Nicky Scarfo, Sirianni. You know, they want to go after little Nicky. Nicky's right here. He's right. Treating players the same. Nobody in their mind thinks that that's... Now, you treat men like men, all 53. You talk to them like men. But, dude, what's your name again? Versus, he's a star. You treat your star players different. Queasy Watkins. I'm using him as an example because I'm sure he was crying. Remember, this was the same fool that was telling us that he's an elite receiver. Dude, you're a marshmallow with brick hands. That's fast. Here's your evaluation. By the way, we're going to do a ton of that today because it's Combine Day. And we're going to go shopping. Okay? And we're going to go shopping. Let me treat this. We're going to treat everybody the same. Everybody the same. So I'm going to treat Lane Johnson like I would treat Jack Driscoll. Again, I'm not talking about talking differently to him, but Lane Johnson gets extra benefits. Why? He's a Hall of Famer. You tell me if you think this is being treated different. Nick Sirianni holding Jason Kelce out of practice because he's an older veteran guy and not having him practice in week because they're saving his body up. And if he's going to get banged up, let him get banged up on Sunday. You think that's extra benefits? Like you couldn't do that with fat body Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis doesn't get that luxury. You know why? Because he's a fat body. He's a fat body. Fat bodies don't get respect until you earn it. Okay? Come on, man. I know what everybody thought. Oh, another article for Sills to be able to go atomic on the Eagles. No, the Eagles are actually right here. You don't treat players the same. You don't treat superstars. That's like saying, so let me treat, let me treat whom? Steve Kerr the same as Jordan. Come on, man. You know, I do have to comment a little bit on A.J. Owens a little bit and some of the things that have been going around and some of the things that have been said, especially about me. And I take it as a merit badge, and I thank you guys very much because at the end of the day, he's one of the examples. But you know what sucks about him is that he has the money, he has the star power, and he acts like Queasy Watkins. Okay? That's my problem with him. He's got Queasy Watkins mentality, and he's a star. He doesn't act like a star. He acts like a whiner. Okay? Hey, can I tell you something that I just got a little privy of? By the way, this is just a feeling. I think Fletcher Cox is fed up with your locker room and wants to go play either in Pittsburgh or Cleveland. This is something I'm kind of getting a feeling of. Not that anybody said anything to me, but I think he's tired of the locker room. It's just something I kind of heard a little bit. Fletcher Cox is sick and tired of that behavior inside the locker room. And all the crying. And I thought you had leaders in there. Going to play for Jim Schwartz or going to play for Mike Tomlin versus playing for Pinocchio Sirianni. By the way, that Far Side chat, holy shit, was that nothing. Does anybody in Philly ask any questions and do they do their job? I'll say this to you. That Selke kid that we get on our network, and, I'll say this to you about that McLean kid. Both those guys, I think those guys are good. Okay? I've had my problems with Jeff because, I have to put everything in quotes and paraphrase it correctly, or an English teacher comes after me. So I have to be careful there. Whatever, guy. Okay? Whatever. But at the end of the day, one of them guys, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, right? Xander, one of those guys asked the question, Nick, what's your job? Because no one else would have the Sacagawea to be able to do that. Nobody would. Fireside chat at Indianapolis. Talking sneakers, tennis shoes, and green jackets. Hey, man, going places here. Okay? You got to kill me here, man, with this. I did this AJ Brown thing. I hope it goes away soon. Trade the guy's ass. I want to ask you one question before we move on to our shopping list. I got a shopping list. And I'm going to tell you what you can buy and what you can't buy. And what you refuse to buy. Patrick Queen is a $20 million market value linebacker. You're not buying that. You think Howie Roseman's going to spend $20 million on the Baltimore Ravens linebacker? If he did, he would have got Roquan Smith. Think about something that happened. Remember when everybody was ripping the Ravens and Eric DeCosta for making that $100+ million deal and making that trade with the Bears to get Roquan Smith? Well, it kind of panned out, didn't it? Kind of panned out. He's $20 million. I'm gonna get to that here in a minute. You don't really believe that Howie Roseman would spend $20 million on a linebacker, do you? He couldn't spend $7 million on TJ Edwards. And you couldn't even replace Kaiser White. You guys are talking about replacing linebackers. You couldn't replace Kaiser White. What makes you think you're going to replace Zach Cunningham? $20 million on a linebacker. You think that guy's going to spend that when you haven't drafted a linebacker in the first round since 1979? And for whatever reason, you guys think you're going to spend $20 million on a linebacker. It's not that you can't, you won't. How long is your own? We're gonna go to the shopping list. We got my friends, tons. And we're gonna kind of start narrowing them down. Let me ask you this. Are people in Philly, Xander said something to me yesterday that I'm starting to believe, and it's sad. Hey, Philly fans, wow. New generation, some of you are okay with silver medals. I thought you were a city that coveted championships. So the owner of the Eagles has owned the team since 1994. Is that correct? Is that correct? I'm trashing fans? No. I just hear some people on the radio and even on our network that are trying to say that the Philadelphia Eagles have been a successful football team since 2000. Well, let me ask you this. Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, has owned a team since 94. Is that right? In that time frame, has he over or underachieved? And let's take a look at that. Since 2000, let's go there. Ravens have won a couple Super Bowls. Patriots, obviously. Chiefs have won a couple. Shit, the Giants have. Rams have been to a few. Who else has won Super Bowls in that time frame? Since 2000. Broncos. The Giants have 2. The Bucks have 2. Okay. Eagles have 1. Has Jeffrey Lurie, and I've asked this question before and I'll ask it again, has he over or underachieved as an owner? Now, if you're comfortable with 18 playoff appearances in 31 years and 1 Super Bowl, I'm sure you're used to getting silver and bronze medals and you're saying that if you get on the podium, I'm okay with that. So if you're okay with that, you're okay with not chasing championships. You're okay with just winning a title. But hey, let's slice it up to make it sound better. Since 17. How about since 2000? Or since the guy owned a team? Tell me. Has Jeffrey Lurie over or underachieved in his 30-plus years owning the team? You tell me. Has he? They make a lot of playoff appearances. So do the Packers. So do the Seahawks. Shit, the Seahawks have been in a couple Super Bowls, right? Underachieved. Maybe I'm wrong. Super Bowls are ultimate success. Playoff wins are success. Okay. So you're good with the success of the team, but you've underachieved an ultimate success. It's kind of slicing it in half and having your cake at the same time and all that. But okay, it's kind of on the fence a little bit, though. Don't you agree? Underachieved. Huh? Seals, why do you hate the Eagles so much? No, I'm putting your ass in perspective. Nobody hates any. Haas, I hate Nazis. I don't hate anything. Okay? Only thing I hate in life are Nazis. Outside of that, wait a minute. Certain types of food gives me agita. You know? I don't really like to be in the cold weather anymore. That kind of stuff. I hate it. But really, hating people, dude, you have to when you're in that position, remember something. For you to hate somebody, you have to respect them. And most of the people that talk shit to me, I don't respect. So why would I care? By the way, that's a Nixon line. I don't hate anybody except Nazis. I told you that. Let's move on here. Because you can't answer. Well, some of you answered it. Some of you answered it. So he's underachieved. In my book, he's underachieved. Completely underachieved. Okay? All right. Let's go shopping. I want the Eagles to stay in their lane. Okay? Stay in your lane. Big Sil's top players in free agency and that are at the combines right now. Combines, when I was younger, I didn't get a chance to be at the combines because underclassmen couldn't go to the combines. So we had things called Pro Day. And I found some of the articles and some of the things that my school had written. I'm going to show you what my Pro Day was. And you know what I did? And before we get into the shopping list here, what do you make of this one here? Xander, I think you're going to dig this. Big Sills versus Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's Pro Day / combines versus mine. 6'1", both of us. I ran a 4.81. He ran a 4.68. I was 291. He was 285. He had a 32 vertical. I had a 27 vertical. I repped that bench 45 times. He did 35 times. The combines, what I'm trying to tell you is useless. It's useless. Give me 20 feet of tape. Let me watch the tape. Let me watch and talk to him at the combines. And then I'll go from there trying to pick a player from my football team. Okay? Ink goes, Dan, stop. You couldn't play. Your combine was a joke. I was actually almost drafted higher than Jalen. So I don't know what you're talking about. I think he was 51. I was 57. Difference was I was a junior. I came out a year early. Dude. Okay? Hey, Matt, I don't really believe Aaron Donald is 6'1". I think he's 6 foot, 275. It's incredible. He's 6 foot, 275, and he may be the best pass rushing defensive tackle of all time. Okay? Okay? He may be. So the combines are kind of important. They're kind of important. So I had a conversation with Dan Morgan last night, who's now the new general manager of the Carolina Panthers. And, of course, Dan's one of the guys I recruited for the University of Miami. And we were talking about some prospects that are at the combines. He said that there's a lot of good-looking football players that are at the combines that are going to make impact on football teams this year, depending on what the scheme is. Robert goes, we're a shit show right now. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of. Okay? Yeah, kind of. Okay? Kind of. So he said there's some really good people in free agency. So let's take a look at that. And I hear people talking about particular guys that they want to go after. So how about I ask you all a question here? Do you think Howie would pay? Let's play the game. Will Howie pay for this? Will Howie pay for this? Okay? Rico, that's correct. You can run on Donald. I don't think he's a very good run defender. You know, Xander, when I first came to JAKIB, I told him I thought Fletcher was a more complete player than Aaron Donald because Fletcher could play the run and he was a pass rusher. Donald is an exceptional pass rusher, but name me a defense that he played on that he didn't give up 4.5 yards a carry or sometimes 5 yards a carry. You could run on Donald. But in today's NFL, 70% of the time you're a nickel. So That's why the running back position has been de-emphasized, is because the running game has been de-emphasized in the game. The NFL wants the thing to look like the Arena League. So you can not have to be a great defender in today's NFL. You're not a complete, like Aaron Donald's not better than Sapp. Sapp is a better and more complete player because Warren can pass rush, get you 18 sacks, and he can defend a run. Okay? And he can defend a run. So, I mean, I never thought he was a complete ball player. I just never did. So let's go shopping. I know Snead's name's out there. I think they got to decide what they're going to do. I'm talking Kansas City. Oh, by the way, the Minnesota Vikings are taking calls on Justin Jefferson. After the new year hits and the new cap kicks in, they're taking calls. But not my AJ. Not my diva wideout. The Minnesota Vikings are going to trade the guy. But not my AJ. Minnesota is taking calls on Justin Jefferson. Somebody's going to pay $30 million. Hey, could you imagine Kansas City landing that dude? Good grief. Or Justin Jefferson going to Buffalo and playing with Allen. Or going to Baltimore and playing with, dude, I'd take Justin Jefferson over A.J. Brown any day, any second. He's not in his league. What was it, 10 games he had 1,100 yards receiving? So you're trying to tell me if that guy played a full season, he'd have had $2,000? Dude, that guy is spectacular. He's spectacular. Woo! That Philadelphia Eagle, oh, I forgot. That's right. I'm sorry. That Viking wideout, okay? That Viking wideout, unbelievable. Oh, I think Stephon Diggs, absolutely. Post-June 1 cut. Absolutely. So let's go shopping and show you how some of the dumbass comments that people on the radio are making when it comes to saying, hey, I'd like to have this guy on the Eagles. Hey, I'd like to have that guy. I'm going to throw this at you and go, hey, do you think Howie will open up the purse strings for this guy? So we're going to leave Snead over here. We'll go with Jalen Johnson, Chicago Bear kid. He's got a market value of $17.3 million. You think Howie paid that? With two defensive backs that he has right now making $14 and $13 million. You think he's going to add another 17.3? Or do you think he's going to try to get rid of Bradbury and pay Jalen Johnson 17.3? Hey, the cap's going up. Do they eat some dead money on Bradbury? Do you think he'll pay that? With him already in trouble paying almost $15 million for his two corners right now. Okay? Do you think he'll pay that? Not now. Not now. How about Antonio Winfield, safety? He's got a market value of $18.4 million. Do you think Howie Roseman's going to pay almost $20 million for a safety? Yes or no? Let me get my pen because I got to do some crossing out on my checklist here. How many? I'm asking you. Do you think Howie Roseman is going to pay $18.4 million for Anton Winfield Jr. of the Bucks? No. Okay. He ain't paying that money. But the cap's going up. That's not what I said. He ain't paying that. Carolina linebacker Frankie Louvu, 19th prospect in free agency. And he carries a $12.2 million street value. You think Howie Roseman's paying? Shit. This will answer the Patrick Queen question. How many people think Howie will pay $12.2 million for a linebacker in free agency? Anybody? Oh, wait. Well, shit. Your fan favorite list is narrowing. Yeah, but Sills, he can. He won't. See, this is why it's truth, justice, and the Big Sills way. Eric DeCosta didn't care. He's paying Roquan Smith $20 million a year, and it changed his defense and put him in the AFC title game. Howie ain't spending $12 million. He's surely not spending $20 million. Oh, he's off the shopping list. Let's go here. Kyle Duggar. Shit, the kid I liked. The kid I liked. You know the guy that I told you yesterday? Here's a kid I like. He plays for the Patriots. Right? Look at this guy. Earth goes, how about Burns? Burns got a $22 million market value. You think Howie's going to pay $22 million for an edge rusher? No, I'd rather have Burns than Reddick any day because he's actually a football player that can play the run and rush the passer. You think Howie's going to spend $22 million on an edge guy? Kyle Duggar, safety, 31st ranked prospect, 31st. He's got a market value of $16.5 million. Ask Eagle fan, is Howie Roseman going to spend $16.5 million on a safety? Winfield is 18-4. By the way, market values courtesy of the Carolina Panthers general manager. You think this guy here you think Howie's going to pay $16.5 for a safety? And so it narrows. Here's a corner from Indianapolis. Kenny Moore, 32nd ranked prospect in free agency. Carries a $14 million market value. Damn. Be nice to have him. Can't because you're in purgatory with your two contracts. The list narrows. Levante David. Now we're getting somewhere. LB, 36 ranked free agent. When free agency starts in 2 weeks. Market value of $10 million. Played on a Super Bowl? I agree. This guy's a little long in the tooth. I'm going to leave his name there, but I'm going to pass. Okay? Guy that I like. I made a mistake too. Because here, Andrew Van Ginkel, edge rusher, 43rd ranked free agent. Will Howie spend $17.5 million on Van Ginkel? The list narrows. Geno Stone. Now we're starting to get somewhere, you think, right? Baltimore. Safety. One of the top 100 ranked free agents. With a $14.5 million market value. Is Howie Roseman going to spend $14.5 million on a safety? The list narrows. Chase Young. You need a replacement for Brandon Graham. Guy's toast. Played pretty good in the postseason. Okay? Steve goes, Van ain't worth 17. That's just the market value right now, dog. Go look it up. It's out there for the fans to see too. He's got a $17 million market value. That's not those aren't my numbers. These are not my numbers. Okay? I don't know what these guys are when it comes to their market value. How would I know that? How about Chase? Has a $13 million market value. Cap's going up. He knows the division. I'm suspect on the knee. He's kind of young. I tell you what, the Chiefs couldn't block him. He was really great in the Super Bowl. I'd bring him in for a workout and talk to him. I would talk to him. Because now you're starting to get into the ball. Do you understand what we're doing here? We're getting into the ballpark that you get your now in your behavior and how you act when it comes to free agency and how you spend your money. You're getting that, right? That's what the exercise is here. The exercise is how you spend your cash. This really has nothing to do with if you like the player or not. Okay? This has nothing to do with that. Dude, do I like Patrick Queen? Do I like some of these other guys? I sure do. But at the end of the day, the behavior of your general manager and your organization, you guys don't spend money at premium positions on your football team like safety and linebacker. I mean, tell me I'm wrong, unless something's different here. Mike goes like this. See, here's another dumbass take. According to you, the Eagles aren't getting any free agents. You're a slow learner. You've been wrong the last two offs. No, I said you never make it to the NFC title game in the Super Bowl this year. The year before that, I said you make it all the way to the Super Bowl. According to you, no. I'm asking you the question. Do you think a general manager is going to spend $17 million on a safety? Or $20 million on a linebacker? No, they're going to get free agents. Not the ones you want, though. Not the ones you want. Who in the world ever said that you're not getting free agents. You're just not getting the ones that people are naming. Because that's not how he spends his money. Chase Young's a $13 million guy. That's kind of in your ballpark in how you spend money. Might want to look at him. Daniel Hunter is a $20 million market guy. Burns is a $20 million market guy. Stop with that shit. You're not buying those guys, spending money on that. It's not that you don't have the dough either, because the cap did go up. You don't. There's certain things you do that you think they're going to change now. If you listen to that fireside chat today, they think they have good talent on the team that hasn't proven itself yet. If you think that Kobe Dean he's a bust. Kobe Dean is a bust. He's a bust. He'll be cut in the offseason. So I'm going to leave Chase's name there. That kid, how do you say his name, Josh? Yuki? U-C-H-E? Here's somebody. He's an edge rusher, ranked number 51. Guess what? $8.3 million. Now we are talking Eagle money. Okay? Now we are talking Eagle money. 8.3? That's the Eagles' ballpark. Danico Autry, Tennessee. Listen to this. I want to show you how preposterous some of you people are when it comes to just throwing names out that you're going to go after in free agent when you know your GM doesn't spend the money and you never have spent the money. Who's the highest paid guy in the last 5 years they've spent in free agency? Hassan? Would it be Hassan? 15 million? Right? Hassan. You actually think you're going to spend $20 million on a linebacker that you don't give a shit about? And you got trash cans playing linebacker for you? And you're going to go from paying a guy $1.5 million to paying 20 overnight. Okay. Javon Hargrave didn't make that giant. No, Hargrave was still lower. He was still underpaid when it came to being paid next to Fletcher. I think his last year in Philly, he made 12.9. Fletcher was making like 16 or 15 million. I think the last year he went from 12.9 to $20 million with San Francisco. Okay? So this kid Autry from Tennessee, edge rusher, he's the 54th ranked free agent. He's at 14.5. Here, I guess what I'm doing here is, you think Howie's really going to spend money on defense? Or is he going to go bargain basement hunting like he always does? Drew Tranquill, Kansas City, linebacker. Solid player. Has 2 Super Bowl rings. Would you guys be interested in this guy? Market value, $9.8 million for a backer. Damn. Howie wants to, here's what I'll tell you where I'm going with this at the end of this. Josie Sewell, Denver, linebacker, 62, 8.8 for a linebacker. Devin White, 66th ranked, 8.1. Julian Blackman, Indianapolis, the 70th ranked safety, 9.1. Jordan Hicks, Minnesota, a little long in the tooth, linebacker, 86, 6.8. Jordan Whitehead, Jets, safety, $8 million price tag on the open market. These aren't my prices. Here's where I'm going with this. If you're going to tool your team up and retool your defense, you got to spend some money. Will they? Will they? Do you actually think they're going to spend? Here, let me show you something here. Let me take it. Let me take this. Let's go. So here. So the Eagles, how many people want Patrick Queen? That's 20 a year. You want Anton Winfield? That's 18.4. So you're at 38.4 million with two guys. You want an edge rusher? We'll just go with the Van Kinkel. That's 17.5. That's 9, 15. It's 55.9. Let's see here. You need a linebacker. Oh, Queen. We got Queen, the safety, and the edge. So you think Howie's going to spend $60 million on three guys? How many people in here believe Howie's going to spend $60 million on three dudes? He ain't doing that. Oh, and these guys are on Patrick Queen, his market value. Look at it. It's over $20 million. Some of this shit's funny because you know what most people do that are on the air? They start with the player's name instead of the price tag because the NFL is all about money, making it, spending it. You start there. You don't start. You start with your cap. Then you start with your needs. Then you figure out if you can afford it. And let's not forget, you're going to spend $60 million on three people, and you've got a draft you got to pay for coming up in April. It's not logical. And I see somebody in here. Slay and Bradbury are murdering you. Lack of production, big money. The majority of your cap on defense is those two players who had 3 picks last year and collectively made $30 million together. You had 3 picks. Think about that. $10 million a pick you had on 3 players. And you were the worst pass defense in the league. Dude, I'm not trying to shit on you here. I'm just trying to go pump the brakes on this. This ain't going to be that easy of a fix. You can throw all the freaking names you want out. And by the way, I'm not saying you don't have the dough. I'm not going there. How about this? Hey, well, Howie will have Howie vision, and he'll come up with the ways. Okay, they're not going to spend money or construct a contract with a linebacker or safety. They're not going to do that because that's not what they do. Are they going to change that and pivot? Let's see. Let's see. Do you understand what I'm doing here? I'm trying to have a common sense conversation with you. We understand, right? We're all in agreement. They don't spend a lot of money on safety, linebacker. Okay? Edge rusher, they got a bargain basement with, dude, there's no question. The one I may not really look at Hassan Reddick as a complete player, but he completely outplayed his contract. And they got a deal on that. Stroke of genius, Howie. But now it's time to pay him. And now he's a $20 million guy. They're not paying that. So wait a minute. Let me get this right. Or you got to help me here. So they're going to tell Hassan Reddick to go test the open market, and he's one of the top 5 pass rushers in the league. And you're going to turn around and spend $20 million on someone else? I'm confused. I'm confused. Hey, you know what they're telling you? They're going to try to find another guy again that could come into Philadelphia, making half the money, and they're going to go with their way of thinking and their analytics, and they think they're smarter than you. That's the problem that they have. And that's why, like Jeff Kerr says, it's not sustainable success. It's why you have pivots. And people will fire back and go, well, Sills, they've been to the playoffs 18 times. And every time they've been to the playoffs but one time, they've underachieved. You know, when somebody tells me you've been to the playoffs 18 times and you got one Super Bowl, I say that's underachieving. You want a merit badge for doing your job? What the fuck are you talking about? You want a merit badge for doing your job. Hey, the Eagles get their team to the playoffs. Congratulations for doing your job. It's like thanking somebody for not robbing a bank. Hey, we get to the playoffs. Do you cash it in? No. Okay. So you want me to give you pats on the back for doing your job? Those are the same people that are comfortable with finishing third on the podium or winning a silver medal. I love my daughter so much, man. She got a participation medal one time. She looked me in the face and went, dropped it right in the trash can. I started crying. I looked at her and I said, what a winner. She goes, Dad, we don't save participation medals in this house. I just was like, oh my God, you are such a stud. Way to go, Dee Dee. Way to go, Dee Dee. Hey, look at how many times we've been to the playoffs. Did you cash it in? No. So here's your pat on the back or your participation medal for doing your gig. Congratulations, I guess. It's fantastic. People today, okay? People today want to be rewarded for doing their gig and not going over and above. That's why fat guy Jordan Davis doesn't do the extra sprints he needs to do. Hey, I did my job. I want a raise. Well, that's not how it works. The 1%ers get paid the extra candy and the extra treats and the fringe benefits. Hey, man, being a champion, if it was that easy, there'd be more people that sit in the stands on the field. There's a reason more people sit in the stands than are on the field when you go to football games. Those are the 1%ers in sports. The rest of us sit up in the bleachers wishing we could be them. There's a reason. There's 70,000 witnesses and 22 1%ers on the field. Come on, man. Sills, Henry, Young, Gay, possible trade for Surtain. Henry has a $10 million price tag. Out. Young, 13, maybe. Gay, I don't know. I like him. Kansas City linebacker. That's right. Winners shut up. I love that, man. Flexing. I hate when people brag about just getting there. It's like telling people this. Hey, man, I took the bar. Did you pass it? No. I took it. So you're not really a lawyer, but you got there. Okay. Great question, Mr. International. I believe Howie can reach the promised land. Again, the question is how. Mr. International, I'm going to show you why. This let me ask you this. So the new coordinators that they have in the building, are they answering to Nick or Howie? Who are they answering to? Are they answering to Nick or Howie? Howie. On what organization will Howie do that? And answer Howie. So the head coach has no say in the game day preparation for Sundays. Is this right? Your head football coach has no say on Sundays. Okay. I'm going to ask you one last time, and I want you to think about how you're answering this. On Sunday, the players answer to Nick or Howie? Just a question. It's like a poll question that a diva wide receiver went, they don't think I'm happy here. No, numbnuts. No one said that. He's such a worm. Nobody said that. You made that up. This guy cried over a poll question on a Twitter page with WIP. Holy cow. Hey, man, I know a lot of people cry over Twitter stuff. Okay? And right, that receiver was crying over a Twitter page on a poll question. I mean, wait, I think I hate it here now. You can't get softer, dog. So the shopping list was a little reality check for you. So when you guys start talking about all these big name free agents out there, pump your brakes. Ask yourself, does Howie spend money? First and foremost. But in his 23 years being involved in the organization since he went into the building in 2000, he has never shown a propensity to spend money at safety, at linebacker, or edge. But now you think he's going to change. I said Henry because the running back market crash, in my opinion. Q, I agree, man. There's no franchise tags this year. Barkley's not being tagged. So you could tell me that he has a $10 million market value. I think that's going to plummet. Okay, I do. I think that's going to plummet and come down. I'm with you on that. I do. I think that comes down. And you're not going to see, and you're not going to see Josh Jacobs and Barkley and those guys getting a ton of money. Fly goes, Fangio will change the narrative. I sure hope so. We'll see. Got a bunch of Miami Dolphin players saying that he's outdated, but hey. And you know, to the point of what we said yesterday, wonder how that whole dynamic's going to work. The more that Kellen Moore has success, the more the writing's on the wall for Sirianni to be fired. Do you understand? If you go 14-3, Sirianni's fired. If you go 5 wins, Sirianni's fired. Nick Sirianni's fired either way. He has no way of saving his job Because the Eagles aren't going to let Kellen Moore walk out the building when they can name him head coach and have a play-calling head coach, the one thing they coveted. Because you know why? It's fail-safe. Then you can have a coordinator for your quarterback for the next 5 years. The problem with Nick, he doesn't call plays anymore, and he's a failure when he does. That's why. He's a stopgap coach. You know how sometimes you have stopgap quarterbacks? Nick Sirianni is a stopgap head coach. They're not going to allow Kellen Moore to walk out the building like they did Shane Steichen and get another job somewhere else. They're not going to do that. There's no way on the planet Nick Sirianni can save his job. If they go 14-3, let's do this. If they go 14-3, win a Super Bowl, you really believe you're going to let Kellen Moore walk out and take a job in Buffalo and keep Nick knowing full well he sucks at play calling, and you're going to go searching for another coordinator again for Hurts? What will that be? 4 and 5 years? Use common sense. Some of you can't. Well, Nick will get the credit. How can Nick get the credit when they took all the ability for him to save his job away? How? He has no say in the coordinators anymore, which means he can't save his job. If they have success, he's fired. If they fail, he's fired. That's why everyone that has any common sense says, why is he in the building? I think it's smart to bring Nick back. The only reason it's smart to bring Nick back is because he's a stopgap to see if more can work. Do you understand that Nick Sirianni is keeping the headsets of the head coach warm? If more works, they're his. Kellen Moore is the head coach in waiting. What are you going to do? Change the coordinator out again? Your fourth one in 5 years? Barb goes, maybe they want to see if Hurts will do better. How does that help Nick? He has nothing to do with it. How does that help Nick? I mean, he's a stopgap coach now. Thanks for all the laughs, y'all. Draft, chop, or Coop first round. Not Coop in the first. The kid from A&M, second. Top of second. I like him. The kid from A&M. Okay, I like him. Steve goes, I won't be surprised when Jalen is holding up the Lombardi next February. Okay. With what, that defense that's going to turn into gangrene overnight? Give me a break. That's a 2-year fix. At best. You think that's an overnight fix? Howie, the drafting guru. We're going to get to the draft here. We're going to talk about some of the top prospects that are at the combines after these guys had their fireside chat today. I was listening. Sander goes, are you listening to this? I'm like, it's yes. Yes. It's like listening to some of those shows in Philly on the radio. Unlistenable. I mean, I'm like, dude, this is nothing. It's boring. Dan slander list, Eagles. No. Dan's truth list, Eagles. You used the poor word. Hey, I'm known for doing that too, so I won't hold you to it. Okay. I'm also spitting facts from firsthand knowledge of following. Oh, so then you know that your guy sucks on defense picking talent. Right? Right, 41? You know he sucks then, right? Linebackers, edge rushers. Don't you notice every single guy that he's brought in or the positions that he's failed miserably at? Linebacker, edge, corners. You got rented dudes at corner. You got a rented guy at edge. Do you think there's any coincidence to that? You think there's any coincidence to that? That's slander. Okay. It's slander because the guy can't draft those positions or the organization doesn't have qualified people in the analytics guys. By the way, real quick before we take a timeout, do you know why most of these coaches are no longer going to the combines? Like Kyle Shanahan and McVay, Matt LaFleur. They're being told to. They're being told not to go. You know who's going in their place? Julian Laurie. They're the ones now scouting your talent and doing the analytics on them instead of having football people look at the players. Why in the world wouldn't you want to have a play calling genius like McVay looking at a wideout or a quarterback or someone like that, evaluating him, and you'd rather have a bookworm giving you numbers and intel on a guy who the best thing he's ever done. What's that game, Xander, they play? Frisbee? The most competitive thing some of these analytics guys have ever done is play Frisbee. And you're trying to tell me that a Frisbee thrower is going to tell me what a defensive tackle needs to do to play with the Eagles. Is this right? What was the hey, I won a championship in Scottsdale. You should have seen me, man. We were playing Frisbee football. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. You should have seen me die for it. I got like AstroTurf burn on my ass when I caught that Frisbee with my teeth. Like a dog. The guys in your analytics department play Frisbee football, and now they're picking football guys. Okay? Tremendous. Okay, we're going to go shopping for the college kids next. I'm not telling you, Callie Green. Callie Green and some of you in here are like program directors. You must be working for the enemy, which many of you are. It's all good. Don't worry about it, kid. How about this? I'll do something that Steve Spurrier used to do. Hey, Callie Green, you let me worry about the direction of the show and the guest on the show, and you keep fanning away and posting. Why don't we stick to what we do best? You stick to fanning, waving your pom-poms, and writing shitty things about me in your box. And I'll stick the program and the show with Xander, and we'll stick to the direction and who works on the show. And you just leave that to us. Is that cool? So, you can do all your fanning and shit like that. And don't worry about it. We got it here. Just, let's stay in our lanes here. Okay? Where's this guy? Hey, guy, don't worry about it. We got it covered. I know you're like a program director or like a something, but just hang in there, kid. We'll get you around the horn. We do every day. Okay? We get you around the horn. We're going to go shopping, college style. NFL Combine start today. It's a pretty good event. Okay? It's a pretty good event. So, oh, yeah, there you go, baby. I knew you had to be working for somebody. All saboteurs, you're all Judases. Judases in our business. That's why I got 4 friends. Xander's the only guy that can holler at me. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. We're working right now, believe it or not, with hopefully Mike Golick coming on. Either right now or a little bit later in the program. Our boy Jason Cole will join us. That'll be at 4:30, but we're trying to get Mike Golick on. We're efforting him right now to try to get him on. He just texted me, so we're hoping to see if we can get him on here. And Xander, if he responds back here in a couple seconds here, I'll send you the information here. So we'll kind of do a little bit of producing on the fly there. And we'll get into some college stuff here too. So hopefully Mike's able to come on here in a couple seconds here. So we'll find out here in a minute if he can make that happen for us. I'm not home now. I'm not sure. We'll have to maybe another day. Okay. So he's not home right now. So we'll probably have to do him tomorrow and get him on the program tomorrow. So we'll work on getting him on the program and we'll see how that thing works out. Maybe we get him for 5:30. Hit the like button. We appreciate it. So what we'll do is we'll go into what we're talking about here. We went shopping. I wanted to make it very clear to you guys that this is not going to be as easy as you think because of the money that's involved here. Sure, the cap goes up, but also cap spending behavior has to be taken into account. You got to remember something about the Eagles and their ego. They believe they know what they're doing. And do you understand? They believe that last year's failures were coaching, not player accountability, not player ability on the roster. You heard that in the exit interview a couple weeks ago when Howie was raving about Zach Cunningham. You're raving about Zach Cunningham? You're kidding. Okay, so he's the least smelling garbage. I mean, come on, man. That to me, that's not how you build your defense back up. Mr. International goes like this. I believe the Eagles are a good franchise. They are. No one's ever said they're not. But I'll ask you one more time. The most important question. Do you believe the Philadelphia Eagles owner and general manager is more concerned about power and control or winning a Lombardi? It's a simple question. And try to answer it fairly and honestly, if some of you can. Barb says control. Moore says power. Okay? Rico thinks that the owner wants to win Super Bowls when all he does is go after power and control. Really? If that were the case, he wanted to win Super Bowls, Doug Peterson would still be your head football coach. Doug Peterson would be your coach. Not some training wheels guy or some stopgap coach. Somebody's going to do this tomorrow. He's got a 667 win percentage. He's been to playoffs 3 times. The organization doesn't look at that's a product of Nick. Howie and the owner look at it as he's a product of their culture. Nick didn't bring shit to the table. Their way of doing business has been here since Joe Banner. Nick parachuted into this. He didn't bring anything. What, his 12-11 record as a play caller? What has he brought? What's the one thing in 3 years he's brought? Stability? Really? Not according to some, and some of the players. And the finish. He went to the Super Bowl. Owners don't look at it that's a product of him. You see, the least important job in the Philadelphia Eagle organization is the head coach. Why? They look at it like this. Every coach that Jeffrey Lurie has had since he's owned the team, since 2000, has had a winning record. They think they could find another Sirianni, and they think they got it in Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is the coach in waiting. Steve goes, Lurie wants to win a Super Bowl his way. That's his problem. There's no blueprint on winning a Super Bowl. There's just no blueprint on it. Every year is its own different chapter on how you get there. Like your 17 season. Look at all the things that happened in the playoffs with injuries, upsets that happened that got you into the Super Bowl. Plus the out-of-mind play by Foles against Brady. Maybe one of the greatest performances. I'll tell you this. I'll say this to you about Nick Foles against Tom Brady. That's the greatest football game, and I'm including Eli. That's the greatest football game that a quarterback ever played against Tom Brady in the most significant game that mattered and won. That includes Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. That includes anybody you want to put in the conversation with. Patrick Mahomes. Nobody has ever played a better game against Tom Brady than Nick Foles. It's a classic game. It's one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. Dude, he was the better player. I mean, how many times you walk off a football field and say this, Nick Foles is a better ball player than Tom Brady that afternoon? I mean, if you changed uniforms, you couldn't tell the difference. But you could because Foles is a better athlete. Hey, by the way, will somebody hook me up on something? Did Foles throw footballs to Gronk at Arizona? Were they teammates at Arizona, UA? Was it Foles I mean, I don't remember those two guys. Maybe I think is Gronk older? I think is Gronk older or younger? I mean, did they play together at Arizona? Man, it's one of the greatest play calls in Super Bowl history of all time. He's younger. Okay, thanks, Barb. I thought they were kind of Gronk's older. Okay, all right. I thought they could have maybe overlapped. You know, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Foles play college basketball at Arizona too? I mean, dude, he's quite an athlete. And you know what really kind of made that Super Bowl even cooler when you realize, you know, he did have a Pro Bowl behind his name when he went 26-2 with that touchdown interception ratio. So it wasn't like he blew. Okay? So Foles is a good football player, man. Okay? Kyle says they did play together. Wow. If they really did, how do you not go undefeated? Foles better than Purdy? No. Purdy's more consistent. Foles has more ability. Okay? Purdy's more consistent. Foles gets on those Eli Manning stretches. And he's kind of insane. Gronk's 34, Foles is 35. They played together. They played together at UA. Had to have. They had to have. We should hear something about Kelsey this week, too. Here's something that we wrote down. And before we get to the shopping list on the combines and some of the guys that are at the combines, Eagles needs corner, linebacker. By the way, they're not in any order here. You know why you're not in any order? Why do you think I'm not putting an order here? You know, when somebody says something, like on the radio or wherever, when it comes to putting and analyzing the draft, the stupidest thing you can say is, my number one priority is this. Going into a draft, unless you have the first pick in each round, it's good to have a priority. But what's in front of you? So you take a lesser player because you have a bigger need? That's how you fail in the draft. So let me take the 7th corner with my 22nd pick, and I'm not saying they will, versus an old lineman who fell in the draft because the quarterbacks pushed him down, and he's a second-ranked old lineman. You would do that. Do you understand how stupid that is? And why the teams that understand the draft and people that's why Nolan Smith, no disrespect to Brooks and my guy and all, and I love him to death, but Barrett Brooks wanted Nolan Smith to go in the 10th pick. I was like, that guy's not a first-round draft choice. He's not a first-round draft choice. Some people wanted him to go in the top 10. I'm like, what? Like, pick near Jalen Carter. So when you hear people go, here's my number one priority, you're picking 22nd, guy. What are you talking about? You're going to take the 5th rated safety versus the 2nd rated corner. You would do that? That's how you miss in the draft. You want to hear something crazy? 25%. I think it's 25 or 27% of first rounders are bust. You know, the majority of them are at the top of the draft. There's a 25% chance you're going to have a bust in the draft. That's like saying, well, you know, one bullet or one capsule in the aspirin One capsule out of 20. Yeah. And the aspirin jar is cyanide. Would you take an aspirin? If you knew you had 20 pills in an aspirin jar and one of them was cyanide, would you take an aspirin for your headache? You want to try to limit as many as you can. Most of the good teams, okay? Most of the good teams that are like, how could Kansas City be so successful in their draft? You know why? It's best player available. Professor asked, outstanding question. Seals, do you prioritize filling holes through free agency or the draft? I think draft should always be best player available. Amen. Me too. And Professor, to your point, I think that's Howie's strength is professional free agency. I think that's where he excels. If he gets it done early in the free agency season versus waiting till the season starts in September, I think he's pretty good at it. I think he has a real knack for finding guys like Gardner Johnson down on a roster and only making a couple, like $800,000 or something like that. I think he has a propensity to be a successful guy down there. So here, again, this is not in any order. Anybody who puts priority orders together on drafts and you're picking down in the 20s, I don't know what they're talking about. You're going to pick the best kid available at 22, not a position of need. So let me get this right. If Lawrence Taylor was sitting at 22, you're going to pass on him to take a corner who's the seventh best corner. I mean, he's the second. He's the seventh best corner. LT's one of the top 3 players on the draft board. You're going to pass on him because you have a need? Cornerback, line, again, these aren't in order. Cornerback, linebacker, safety. You know what? I'll give you an example. Cornerback, linebacker, safety, edge, DT and depth on DT, O-line and depth in OT, wide receiver, tight end, and running back depth. Running back and depth. So get this. When they drafted Lawrence Taylor, I think in 82, they already had Harry Carson, Brad Van Pelt, and Gary Reasons. They had 3 All-Pros. 3 All-Pros or 3 Pro Bowlers. And all of them had no idea why the Giants took him. I think LT went 2. And everyone went like this when George Young and Ray Perkins drafted Lawrence Taylor. They already had the best linebacking core in the league. Ray goes like this, I'm not passing on that guy. I'm not passing on him. I don't give a shit if we need an old lineman and the linebackers couldn't understand it until they got him on the practice field. Lawrence Taylor, thanks, Barb. Lawrence Taylor was 4th team at the start of practice. By the end of practice, he was 1st team. Took him 1 practice. Ray goes, we're playing him and starting him. Took Gary Reason's job. So you had Reasons, Van Pelt, and Carson, Harry Carson. It's your linebackers in New York. Then Banks came in. That's the prime example of it. I'm not passing on great players. Okay? I'm not passing. Well, I need a corner. Okay, well, I'm taking that guy right there. Okay? I'm taking that guy. So that's kind of where you are and what you need. Carl Banks was a hell of a player. Spectacular player. Here's the corners that are at the combines right now, and Howie, and I don't know what Nick's doing there. He has no job. I guess he's I don't know what he's doing there. It has nothing to do with the personnel. He has nothing to do with the personnel that he's going to be. He's not going to be coaching any of these guys. What is it for show? Can you guys tell me, is Nick in Indy for a show? Why is he there? Title only? Okay. Title only? He's not coaching any of the players. What's he there for? Oh, I know. Yeah, not at liberty to say the name anymore. Yeah. Got to put a good face on, don't you? We move on. Let's start with corners. It's Cooper DeJean kid. He's the 8th ranked prospect. He plays at Iowa. Iowa's putting a lot of kids in the pros, especially at the tight end position. Okay, he's a lot of speed. He's a good hitter. He's big, but you're not going to be in the room to get him. So he's kind of off the board. He's going to be good to look at. And here, let me show you something. When you go to I've been to the combines, and I've gone with Jimmy a couple times. And you know what Jimmy will do? They'll watch a guy, and for the record, the guy that runs the defensive lineman is Carl Dunbar, my friend. So I text him every year. When you watch the combines, my former teammate and one of my dearest friends, I posted a great picture of me, him, and my wife, where we've been friends a long time. And Carl's the D-line coach for the Steelers. And he's going to be working out all the prospects. I think he's also doing edge rushers. So he's going to give me a lowdown on pretty much what some of these front kids look like. And I ask him about other positions too, because he watches some of the drills. Okay. So he'll let me know. But what you do is when you go to the draft, you see this kid Cooper DeJean run, and you watch him do some of the things at the combines, right? And what you do is you look for a guy that kind of resembles him. Xander goes like this: the last cornerback you wanted us to draft was Trent McDuffie, turned into a stud. It's correct. All of you guys hated it. Said he's too small. He's not. I said, I think that guy's going to be a star. And Kansas City took him, and now he is a star. I wanted you. This is, I think, when you had 2 or 3 first-round picks. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the Jordan Davis draft. Okay? I wanted you to take him with your higher pick, I believe. And Kansas City ended up taking him in the back end of the draft. Turned out to be an all-pro. And look how young he is. And they're probably going to let Snead walk out the building because of the way the kid's turned into an all-pro. Is player development not a thing NFL anymore, or are we just microwaving players? It's a great question. That's an absolute – I love player evaluation and player drafting, and I'll tell you why. Death row, when you were at the University of Miami back in the day and you saw the players and how Jimmy looked at guys and how he evaluated players, and then you saw him take that same fundamentals to Dallas and how he built that dynasty, there is a skill to finding players, not just in the first round. See, to me, the one thing I'm going to give Howie some love and the organization some love for, you know what they do? I think they do a better job rounds 3 through 7 than they do rounds through 1 through 2. I actually think they do a better job. Because you know why? They don't overthink it and overcook it. Players fall in best player available. And you're not overthinking it. And to me, that's when they're at their best. When they don't the Eagles have a propensity in numerous things: coaching, player philosophy, in-game adjustments, game planning, of overthinking things. Let the damn thing play out. Let these guys do their jobs. You're good. Hey, one thing I'm going to say here, I never said you're a shitty organization. I say you get in your own way. You stop yourself from greatness. Hey, Xander, be great if I took my own advice. Listen to that. I wish I took my own advice. Okay? Honest to God. I wish to God I took my own advice. Player development, though. For me, I saw guys like here, I'll give you, and I've told some of you this story before. Russell Maryland was recruited by Toledo and the University of Miami. I had no idea where Jimmy found him. And Jerome and I were down in Miami at the time, and he kept falling down. He didn't know how to play under his pads, but there was really great feet that he had. He had great feet, and we saw this. And Butch Davis, who was the D-line coach, would go on to Dallas and be the head coach in numerous places. He looks at us and he goes, I don't know. I don't know if this kid's got it. Okay? I don't know. Me and Jerome stopped and went, whoa. He's just young. He needs to just learn how to play under his pads. So you know what he did? He came to me and Jerome. And we helped him. We showed him how to play under his pads. We showed him leverage. Became the first pick overall in the NFL draft. He was recruited by 2 schools. And then Cortez Kennedy. I played that sound clip for you numerous times at Ed Ogeron. Xander, I think you've heard it. Ed Ogeron going like this. All the great players that came into Miami that played defensive tackle that went in the first round, Sapp and all these guys. There was a highlight reel of Jerome and I how to play the DT position, how to play the 3 and the 1. He goes, these guys would come in. It was a lineage of great defensive tackle play, and you and Jerome Brown started it. We did. We showed everybody how to play the 2 technique, the 2 and the 3, or the 1 and the 3 technique, and a 43 look. How about drafting Brian Murphy from Texas? I like him. Let me get to this. Okay. Let's see here. I like the kid verse too. Sileo is obsessed with the Eagles cap. No, I'm not obsessed with it, guy. Your GM is. You want to spend money to bring Buda Baker in? It's not if you're missing it, Charlie. Do you think Howie Roseman's going to spend $18 million on Buda Baker? Or any safety for that matter? Do you? Do you think anybody's going to spend $20 million on a linebacker in Philly? Don't ask dumb questions you know the answer to. Start with the money. Hey, do you want Patrick Queen? Do you want Buda Baker? Of course you do. Will he spend it? The question this offseason in free agency is not going to be if you want to play or not. It's going to be if you want to spend the money or not. You don't spend money on defense. It's your history. You're making it sound like you're not going to get any free. I didn't say that. You're not getting the ones you think you're getting unless he spends money. Hey, if you want to be good again, I guess this is the case right here. And maybe this is the draft conversation right here in a nutshell. You want to be great again? You're going to have to pay for it. You can't keep going on that side of the ball, and you can't keep playing money ball. You spend all your money on offense, and you try to play money ball on defense. Are you going to spend money to be good again? You're not as good as you think you are. You know, I heard someone go, well, you know, they've been pretty good in the draft the last 2 years. Really? Who's made the biggest impact the last 2 years in the draft? Jalen Carter? Then who? Keely Ringo? Okay. Sidney Brown shows potential. I actually think there's something there. You've had no one. Cam's kind of done something. So Cooper DeJean, you may not be able to pick him, but you know what? If you're a good talent evaluator and not an analytics guy would never look at it this way. Maybe, you know what? Maybe this is why he does look at it this way. I'll take that back. You know what? An analytics guy will look at Cooper DeJean. He'll look at Cooper DeJean's measurables, and he'll see if he can match those measurables up someone that's cheaper. And that's what they'll do. Okay? That's what they'll do. You understand what I'm saying? Like an analytics guy, an analytics guy will do this. Who looks like him? But can I get him cheaper in the third? You know what I'm saying? So a coach, an NFL coach, is not going to look at it like that. They're going to go like this. This is where Jimmy was great. You know, he's not quite 6'3". He's 6'1". But you know what? He's better. And that's why they draft Sapp. Or that's why you have Cortez Kennedy. All those guys were 6'1.5", 6'2". Those are Hall of Famers. But you know why they weren't drafted in the top 10? They weren't 6'3", 6'4". But Jimmy knew they were better than the guys. That's why they were at Miami. You're looking, if you're looking at measurables, like Jordan Davis was a measurable. Do we agree? Jordan Davis was a measurable draft pick. 6'5", 348, ran a 4.7, did all the great. You saw it, then you looked at his production. He wasn't very productive at Georgia. You want to hear something crazy? Look it up. In 1 year of play at Miami for me, I was more productive than the entire 4 years that Jordan Davis had at Georgia. His entire 4 years, I was more productive. And it only took me 12 games. And it was significant. And I played on a number one ranked defense in the country for 2 years in a row. Okay? And Jerome missed 4 games his senior year. So it wasn't like that. I had 107 tackles and 9 sacks and led the team in tackles for loss and hits on the quarterback and fumbles. This kid had 9 sacks in 4 years and had never had more than 20 tackles in a single season. I looked at that and went, really? Now, I took into account what? They rotate a lot. And it's different today because you got to keep people happy. Like Xander knows this. Those Alabama kids, you can't just start 4 guys anymore because those 4 guys behind them will be in the transfer portal. So you got to kind of rotate guys in and keep everybody kind of happy now. So there's something different to that. Okay? Nate Wiggins, Clemson, 13th ranked kid, corner. Dabo likes him a lot, was a true leader, and thought he was a good football player for him. They won a lot of football games, Nate Wiggins. I actually like the player. I don't like the fact that he played in the ACC, though. The ACC, Wake Forest, Duke. I'm sorry, man. I'm hanging my hat in the Southeastern Conference. Maybe the Big Ten. ACC, Pac-12, Big 12, Conference USA. Whew, good luck. If you hit on a kid and he turns out to be a gold mine, congratulations. But I'm playing the law of averages. Like when you guys drafted Carson Wentz out of North Dakota State, oof, hey, man, I'm glad you got a couple of years out of it. I would never draft a kid out of that college. Who's he playing? Against a beer-drinking league up there in Idaho? Or was it North Dakota? I mean, really, what are we talking about here? The entire defense is white? I'm out. I'm like, It's a bunch of beer drinkers. You thought you were playing like in the 1930s when you watch those guys with those wide open lanes. I'm like, that's not for me, man. Who do you play against? I'm out. Not happening. I guarantee there weren't a lot of Jason Sehorns up there. Okay, hey, listen to this. 11 goes, Sills. Josh Allen, Wyoming. Oh, I know. His senior year, he sucked. His junior year, he was better. And I went like this. That guy's a project. He totally was. And he played in the, what is that? He played in the WAC. Man, I don't know. Congratulations. You hit on a guy. Then you turn around and you look at Zach Wilson, BYU, and you're like, that guy couldn't beat Coastal Carolina. And you're telling me he's supposed to beat the Bills and win the AFC East with the Jets? Actually did beat the Bills this year. But win the East? Not likely. Teron Arnold, Bama. I think this is going to be hey, I'm going to tell you my little thing about Bama. Now that Nick's not there, is the same commitment at Bama going to be there? What's the most important thing Nick Saban did to Alabama? What do you think the number one thing he did for Alabama? Do you know what it was? What was the one thing he did to attract all the players to Tuscaloosa? Tuscaloosa? Hey, the campus is fabulous. It's fabulous. You go to a little section, they got bricks with all the players and that were captains and shit. It's the walk that they have. It's a dope place. I actually played at Legion Field down in Birmingham. I played a football game down at Legion Field. That's where Bama used to play. They played a majority of their games now at Tuscaloosa. And what's the one thing Saban did? He brought the greatest assistant coaches in the country to Tuscaloosa. And what does that mean? Well, if I'm a prospect, I'm getting the best coaching. Look at that wide receiver coach that they got down there at Alabama. How that guy's not in the National Football League, he must be making a ton of money with all the players that he's put in the NFL. Holy shit. If that guy ever left Bama, whoever he is, that guy would get an immediate job in the National Football League with all the guys that he's put into the league. You get the greatest coaching on the planet. I want to see what the new regime does. And are you going to make that same commitment? Because when you're calling me and I get a chance to go to a place like Michigan, Ohio State, Miami, LSU, you're telling me I'm going to come to Tuscaloosa. Are you going to have the same coaches that are going to develop me into being an NFL player? Okay? Are you going to have that same commitment? And you spending that money. All those assistants that they had down there at Alabama, all made in the millions, $2.5 million. Their coaching staff is one of the most important things that Saban had. Saban left college football because of nil. He doesn't want to recruit and then have to turn around and recruit his own recruits and then pay them. That's why he left. That's why Coach K left. They don't want to start doing that shit that's not something they want to do. Kool-Aid McKinstry, I love the kid. He's Bama, 19th ranking on him, corner. What I love about him. So let me ask you this. You're telling me he's lining up against wide receivers from LSU, Georgia, A&M, Florida, Tennessee, and he's playing against those guys at Kentucky, and he's doing that on a weekly basis, and he's playing out of conference. Then he plays in a bowl game too as well. Shit. Sign me up, man. That's the kind of kid you look at and go like this. I don't care what he does at the combines. I'm going to see his tape. Show me some of the kids who are like the top receivers in the SEC and who he's lined up against. How does he do there? How does he do against Georgia in the SEC title game? Okay? That's the kind of kid you look at. The combines mean nothing to me. With a player like Kool-Aid, I don't give a shit what he runs. I don't care what he does. I want to see his game film. That's all I care about. Enos Rackerstraw, Missouri. Missouri had a really good year on defense. Now, my problem again is the Big 12. How many truly great defenders have come out of the Big 12 in the last 10 years? Kind of sketchy. It's not a conference that plays a lot of defense, but Missouri did. They had some upsets. They won a bunch of games this year, and they won mostly on defense. I voted for this kid for the All-American team. Had some really good games. He's a good-looking prospect. You can get him at the bottom probably of the first round. Okay? Kyle, I think they did. Did Missouri beat Ohio State this year? Did they? I think they may have. Okay? Okay? I think they may have. Let's go to linebackers. I think you guys are going to be very excited about this. There's two Clemson players that are at the top of the linebacker list. Barrett Carter and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Trotter Jr. has gone from his pro day and has gone up the board where he went from the middle of the second to the bottom of the first. The problem with Trotter Jr. is he's a little undersized. He's a little bigger than Nakobe, but again, undersized linebackers. Now, that's right, Bird, my mistake. They're not in the Big 12 anymore. They're SEC. That's right, SEC. Thank you for the correction, my friend. Thank you for the correction. That's right, they're not in the Big 12 any longer. They're in the Southeastern Conference. They've been there for a bit too, by the way. Carter went back to school. So he's an underclassman. He's made that declaration. The Tigers beat the Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl. Okay. Thank you guys for the correction. That's right. Missouri is in the Southeastern Conference now. That's right. That means they're playing Georgia. Wow. So that kid, Rakerstraw, is playing against high-quality kids at the cornerback position. That's another guy to look at. Trotter Jr., let's see what he does at the combines. He had a really good junior year. He had a really good year last year. I don't know what his classification is, if he's a senior or junior this year. And this year, I don't think it started off well, but finished well. I just think he's undersized a bit. Okay? Carter said that he's got unfinished business. Yeah, because, hey, Griffin, Miami beat them. They had a really bumpy ride in the middle of the season. Okay? Niners go like this. L'Jarius Sneed to the Eagles, confirmed by Philly 500. How's that possible? Free agency hasn't started yet. Junior Colson, linebacker, Michigan. They had a really good defense. Okay? Sills, how's the game tape look on Trotter? Outstanding. I'll tell you one thing he does really well, and he does like his dad. He hits that gap. Now, the undersized kind of, in a way, kind of nerves me, but you know what he plays like? He's got a little Sidney Brown in him. He's going to run his ass in there, and he's a hitter. He's a hitter. I'll tell you this, too. He can cover tight ends. He's still undersized. Like, it would be a mismatch to put a guy like Gronk on him or a guy like a 6'5" tight end, just because the law of physics. He's not that big a dude, but he's fast. I think he's a 4'5" guy. Okay. I do a lot of homework on these guys. And because I know Xander is too. I'm a big college guy. And I vote on all the I vote on all the I vote on all the teams. Okay? I vote on all the teams when it comes to I vote on all the teams. So, Mr. International, cool. I love the college game. By the way, the college game is turning into outstanding stuff. Tommy Eichenberg, linebacker, Ohio State. Another great position for Ohio State. They produce a ton of linebackers. Produce a lot of kids. I wanted to go play at Ohio State. I wanted to play in the Rose Bowl. That was my dream, was to play for Woody. I was recruited by Woody my sophomore, and guys, this is for the older folks. Do you remember when Woody punched that guy? When did Woody punch that guy in the Gator Bowl? Was that the 78 or 79? Because I was a freshman and I had went to a Buckeye camp, and I forget what year that was, but the year that he punched that Clemson guy in the head, then he got fired the next day. Okay. So I must have just been going into high school at that camp, because he got fired that offseason. And they really liked me. When I was a freshman, my aunt can tell you, when I was a freshman, I was like 6 foot 240. I was a big kid then. And yeah, so man, I love Woody Hayes. He called me one time recruiting me, and he did this. I'm not the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes anymore. Earl Bruce is. We'd love to have you come take a visit. My grandfather's on the other phone. My aunt knows this story. We'd really love to have you come here and play at Ohio State. I go, Coach, I had a dream to play for you. He goes, Earl was my defensive back coach, and he was really, 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 really high on you. And he would love to have you come here and take a visit. I took a visit. I got drunk as hell. And anybody who's been to High Street in Columbus knows that there's like this bar there. I fell all the way down the steps, and I had to meet Earl Bruce the next day. And Earl Bruce goes, I hear you had a hell of a night. And I was like, yeah. And I forget, I think Jim Lachey took me around with Mike Tomczak. They took me around on my recruiting visit. I got so hammered. Sorry, Bet, but I got hammered on my recruiting trip, and I fell down these steps, and it was like 1,000 steps. It's called the Mine Shaft. Back then, I don't know what it is now. It's probably not even there. And there I am. Look, I got cuts all over my head. I walk into the coach's office the next day, because they take you out after dinner and talking to you and shit. So there I am. I'm sitting there, and I had no sleep. And Earl Bruce goes, yeah, well, I hear you had a hell of a night. I'm like, it was a lot of fun. He goes, had a few? Yes, sir, I did. He goes, how'd you get the cuts? Coach, I don't remember. He goes, honesty. I love it. Oh man, that was a really great. As many of you will know, it was a really good recruiting trip. I'll just say that. Tyron Hopper, linebacker, another Missouri guy. So there's your linebackers that you could take a look at when the upcoming draft comes up here. So I think that's a pretty good draft this year. I do. I think it's a pretty good draft. Safety. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Cameron Kitchens would love to play in Philly. He would love to play in Philly. He's around the 27th rated prospect. 26, somewhere there. Would Howie draft a safety in the first round? Unlikely. But if he sneaks into the second round, could Howie take him? All-American 2 years in a row. Played on a pretty good defense. I love the kid. I'm biased to the kid, obviously. Yeah, I think he is one of the top three. I think this guy, Tyler Nubin, safety Minnesota, also is in that conversation too. They do a nice job up there in Minnesota. They got a lot of nice prospects. They've done a really good job. What's the coach's name up there? I forget. He's done a nice job of turning that program around. Minnesota used to be a really big-time college program back in the day. I took a recruiting trip to Minnesota. Lou Holtz was the head coach. And I loved the visit. I mean, they played at the Hubert Humphrey Dome, the 3H Dome back in the day. But I took a recruiting trip to Minnesota. So, I mean, I love the colors. I love the program. It was in the Big Ten. I think Joe Salem had just been fired, and then Holtz got the gig when I was being recruited there. He's a good ball player, this Newbin kid. Kalen Bullock, USC. Man, the only problem is he played at USC. You know, USC playing defense, Lincoln Riley. Give me a break. Rod Moore, safety, Michigan. Michigan had a great defense this year. I like the kid. Sion Vaki, safety, Utah. Kyle Winningham has so many great football players at that program. Okay? I know. Hey, Barb, I became friends with Lou. He lived in Orlando. We used to go play golf in Orlando all the time. Lou's a good dude, man. He bought his house with Notre Dame money. That's what he always tells everyone. Yeah, he bought a house. I forget the golf course he lives on. It's a real high-end golf course. But he goes, I bought the house with Notre Dame money. I just go up there, look at it. Got it right here on the 14th green. Right there. There's going to be a dark horse player that's drafted in the back of the draft. Those players in the back of the draft always outwork the talented ones. With Death Row, I think you got two of the greatest ones on your team right now in Philly with Jason Kelsey and with Jordan Mailata. Chris, I don't know. I don't think Trotter's a first round pick. Sills, how long did you train with Cowboy Bob Orton? Hey, did you see Ole Anderson died? Ole Anderson and Bob Orton signed me to WCW with Undertaker. Yeah. We all signed at the same time and worked out at the Power Gym. That was the school they had. Vader had already gone through. Ole died yesterday. And I was like, damn. Ole Anderson died? So Ole and yeah, but hey, one last one. And Xander, I'll take a break because I got to get to the edge rushers and the OTs. So get this. So my friends and I wrestled with them were the Road Warriors. And Animal and Hawk, Mike told me the story. He goes like this. He's like, yeah, man, we were bombing. We were just bombing. And we had nothing going on. And both of us played football. Animal played at Minnesota. He was a Gopher. I think he wrestled there too, if I'm not mistaken. Mike may have wrestled there as well. So you know what Ole Anderson did? He dropped a pair of shoulder pads on him. And you know why they're the color of red? Because WCW was based in Georgia and it was based in Atlanta. And it was all Bulldog fans. So when they saw these guys coming out and these red shoulder pads with these spikes on them, they were kind of trying to buy into the Georgia Bulldog fan. And that thing, they went over to Japan, and that thing just took off after that. And it saved their life. It saved their careers. Just only putting those shoulder pads, okay, on the Road Warriors. That's what changed the whole thing. Greatest tag team of all time. Greatest gimmick of all time. That's for damn sure. Absolutely. Those guys were some of the greatest people. And if you go to my Twitter page, Animal passed away a couple of years ago. His wife and his daughter follow me on Twitter. And I love the family. It's great people, man. They invented Zubas. You guys probably don't know who Zubas are. There's these sweatpants that used to have back in the day. And they invented it. And I think Starter bought it from them for like $45 million. Okay? They started those Zubas. And the NFL, started getting all like the logos put on the pants. I used to get a pair every year when they owned it. And it was just their brand. But then it went to Starter. It was different. Yeah, man, those things were fantastic. I love those days, man. Those were great. Absolutely great. All right. We'll take a look at the edge, O-line, and running back. These are the guys that are at the draft. Howie and Nick are there in Indianapolis. Hit the like button. Don't forget Jason Cole at 4:30. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday. Watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the sports betting show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
EAGLES. Eagles.
I want to show you the difference in how you build a team and how you're constantly on the conveyor belt of doom. Big Sales here. Hit the like button. So it looks like the Chicago Bears are going to be moving off of Justin Fields and going into the draft and getting another quarterback. Man, how many is that for them in the last 20 years? You want to hear a stat? I brought this up and broached it a little bit yesterday. Do you know in the last 32 years that Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan Love have taken 97% of the snaps at quarterback in Green Bay? 32 years. Over 3 decades, 3 dudes have taken almost 100 snaps. That's crazy. They get the quarterback right in Green Bay. I mean, in Chicago, they can't get out of their way. Now you're going to be on a conveyor belt, redoing it all over again. It's a constant remedy for disaster. And guess what? you can't name really any first-round draft choices. Here, I'll tell you this. In the last 40 years, I think the Packers have only drafted a wideout in the first round twice. They're all about player development. They never suck. They're always picking at the bottom of the first round, and they're always in the room because they get the quarterback. I'll say this to you about why I think the Eagles are successful here with Jalen Hurts here too, and why you really haven't had to lean on your draft choices to carry you in a way. When you get the quarterback position right, when it comes to winning games, the draft picks, you can kind of sustain a bad pick if you get the QB right. But if you get the QB wrong and you're picking at multiple positions, let me say this, anybody that goes into the draft or anybody that's in free agency right now, pick a team here. Let's say the Steelers. I don't give a shit who the Steelers draft. You got to get the quarterback position corrected. Are you going to go Justin Fields or Russell Wilson? As we can see, you tried the Kenny Pickett route. I told you that would fail. Me, I want an experienced arm. You look at Wilson, some of you go, he's toast. He's better than anything they've had since Roethlisberger. And the problem that you had there, like many of you Eagle fans, you guys like holding on to these guys like Brandon Graham and thinking that that's going to be cool to give these guys ceremonious victory parades on the way out the door. Screw that. I have no interest in that shit. It's the NFL. This isn't a retirement home. Or this isn't the Goodwill Center. This is about winning ball games. See you, Brandon. Get the hell out of here. I'll welcome you back anytime you want. Here's a key fob. You can join us at any time. You got a free run of the place. We love you. Lifetime membership. But talking about playing, having a roster spot, I have no interest in that. And what you did was you kept Roethlisberger too long. You should have kicked his ass out too. Way too long, man. You held on to him for 3 extra years. Should have moved on. Should have started with, you didn't have a plan. And that's why they're here. Okay? That's why they're here. I'd love to see Justin Fields in Pittsburgh with some quality coaches and people who know what they're doing. You might, Russell Wilson included. Hey, don't ever get it confused. How many people believe that Sean Payton's a good coach? How many people believe Sean Payton's a good coach? How many people believe Sean Payton's a good coach? Well, who's he coached outside of Drew Brees and won ball games with? Can you tell me? And all he did last year was blame Russell Wilson for his failures. He's the head coach. Fix it. Oh, was Russell? Well, guy, guess what? Your blame blanket's gone. Because post June 1, they're probably moving off of him. The way they're talking at the combines right now, they're probably moving off of him. I'm with you, Barb. I think that Sean Payton's overrated. I don't think he's a very good coach. I think he's I'll take it back. I think he's I think he's okay. I think he's okay. He hasn't shown me that he developed more than one quarterback. Look at Kyle Shanahan, for instance. Some would go, yeah, but Sills, wait a minute. Peyton's got a ring. Well, Kyle Shanahan has taken a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. You think Sean Payton could take Jimmy Garoppolo to a Super Bowl? I don't. I mean, what was that? What was that Swiss Army knife quarterback they gave $10 million to? What's that guy's name? JJ McCarthy. Good luck to you on that one. I think that guy's a stiff. JJ McCarthy, the kid from Michigan, not me. No interest in it. He's a wildcat quarterback at best. Holy cow. He's a shit version of Baker Mayfield. I have no interest in that. Michigan? Okay. Name me a quarterback from Michigan outside of Brady, and they hated Brady at Michigan. Lloyd Carr did everything in his power to give that quarterback job to Drew Henson or Brian Griese or other people. They hated Brady there. Brady embraces Michigan, and Michigan embraces Brady now. You want to hear something crazy? They did such a bad job with Brady at Michigan. He has no chance in his entire life of ever making it to the College Football Hall of Fame. You know why? You have to make an All-American team to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. And Brady never made any of them. Montana, too. They did a shitty job with developing Dan Devine did when he was at Notre Dame. The two greatest winners in Super Bowl history, and Bradshaw, can't go to the College Football Hall of Fame because you know why? Their colleges didn't handle them correctly or develop them. They were developed by Bill Walsh, and when they got to New England, those guys, between them, have 11 Super Bowls and 2 national titles. Brady was on that Michigan team that split, and Montana won the Cotton Bowl to win the national title. They both have national title rings and 11 Super Bowls between them, and they can't go to the Hall of Fame. It's some restrictions you got there. You might want to revisit that. Yeah, it's a good one. McCarthy or Elvis Skerback? Oof. I guess McCarthy because he won the title. Elvis Skerback, former Michigan guy. Jason Cole's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Let me finish this thing up here. So we gave you some guys that were in the at the corner. By the way, again, anybody putting lists together with priorities 1, 2, 3, or 4, how could you do that when you're down to 22? Oh, man. Holy cow. Look at this guy. He's the best player at the position. I'm going to pass on him because I need a kicker. Yeah. That's how some teams don't get it. Okay? You can get a corner in the second round. Do you know 65% of the all-pro wide receivers are second rounders? What? Devontae Adams, second rounder. Is A.J. Brown a second rounder? Cooper Kupp, third. Let's see who else. Is Tyreek a first? Probably. Is Tyreek a first rounder? I don't remember. Was he first? Probably because of the speed. Jefferson's a first. DK Metcalf's not a first rounder. He's a second rounder too. I mean, the majority of your Pro Bowlers are second round and more down the line. You don't have to draft a wide receiver in the first round to get a quality guy if you know what you're doing. Tyreek Hill was a fifth rounder. Okay. Hill was a fifth rounder. So let me get this right. Brown makes 25, Devontae makes 25, Tyreek makes 25, and these guys are drafted in the fifth and in the second rounds. And you drafted Jalen Reagor. I'm using that as an example. You can wait. You can wait and draft the best. If the best player available falls in your lap, okay? The best player that falls in your lap happens to be a wideout, take him. Like if you're in the third round and you're the Eagles and the best player on the draft is a wideout and you're in the third round, are you going to pass on him or trade down? That's a possibility because you might not want to make that pick depending on how you feel that strong about it. And here's what I'd say. If you're in the third round, the best receiver's on the board, and the best player available is a wideout, here's the things you have to take a look at and start here. Well, He's cheap. He's cheaper than me going out and paying for a free agent veteran. He's going to make less money. Do I take that and do I get the equity and the cap equity of 3 years working with this kid? And is he good enough, or do I have to get a veteran? You have to weigh that out. I need the position filled. Wide receiver 3, you guys go into football games. As I told you guys numerous times, you go into football games 10 versus 11. You never use the position. I mean, Quincy Watkins is a bum. Shit, the guy from Atlanta should have started. But the reason why he didn't is because he was a rent-a-guy and how he values his guys. Stephon Diggs was not a first-rounder too. Another guy making 20. Shit, look at that Puka Nacua guy. That Nacua guy from the Rams, was he a third-rounder? He wasn't no first-rounder, right? Right? Here's your edge, guys. Jason Cole's going to join us in a couple minutes. Dallas Turner. Bama's got some people out here, man. Probably a little too high up in the draft for you guys. Jared Verse, also from Florida State, a little too high up in the draft. Letu from UCLA, the edge rusher. Love him. Man, he's a good player. And Latu Letu, if he's there, down at around 22, somebody to think of. Look at Bama here, man. Let's see here. I think that was Jason here. Xander, Jason's having a problem, but what he did say is he can't do the video, but he can do audio if you want. Just so you know, if that's cool, we'll go that route, and get him on if that's okay. So he can't do the video part. Okay. There you go. Okay. We're working on it. Thank you. It gives me time to finish here. Chris Braswell, edge, Bama. Braylon Trice, edge from Washington. Those are just some of the guys you can be looking at in this upcoming combines here for Howie and those guys to look at. O-line, Joe Walt, probably a top 10 pick, somewhere up there in the O-line. This is where I think Howie's going to go. This is just a prediction. I think you're taking an O-lineman at 22 if you stay there. I don't have a problem with you taking an O-lineman. You know why? This is what you do best. This is one of the good things. This is one of the good things that you do great is you get O-linemen. Okay? You get O-linemen. Fuaga from Oregon State is going to be a guy that could slide down to 22. I would draft him. Talisi Fuaga, the kid from Oregon State, I would totally take him. I would totally do that. Okay? J.C. Latham, OT, Bama, is another guy that you could take that could slide down into the draft. Amarius Mims from Georgia, heck of a ball player. Really a good football player. Another OT. And Jordan Morgan, Arizona. And he worked with my friend out in Arizona. So those are your top 5 tackles that could do something for you here. The running back, really, there's only one guy in the draft that I would think that could be somebody, and that would be Jonathan Brooks. So, again, bottom line here is safety. We'll look at with safety position. corner position, linebackers, edge, O-line, running back. I think you're going to need a tight end. Yeah, Xander, let me know when we're good to go. I know you're working on it. Just let me know when you're good to go with Jason so we can bring him in here, talk some free agency, and get his opinion on where we're going here. Okay, so I think it's going to be an interesting time at the combines, especially when it comes to how the NFL looks at this and how the NFL now has used these combines as a way of being able to, have like a convention. And this is where a lot of the agents and the players, I think Howie does the kid Bowers, Rico, he is going to be such a major pick. Top 12, something like that. He'll go very high. Bowers like to the Rams, somewhere in there. Big Sills, do you not? I love Edrin Cooper, the kid from A&M. I've been saying that the whole time. Yeah, Bowers won't be at 22. That's not going to happen. Chris goes, what's your take on the white boy corner from Iowa? He's the top-rated corner. Chargers, right on. He's the top-rated. All right. Our friend Jason Cole, we're going to talk to him, and we're going to get our friend on right now. We'll talk. Jason, in your opinion, thanks for doing this, brother.
No problem.
Jason, your opinion, how important is the combines for league officials more so than just looking at the talent to get together? And is this where they do most of their business when it comes to free agency, with that being 2 weeks away, talking to agents on potential prospects with the April draft, but also with what's coming up with the new league year starting soon? Is this what this is basically used for today?
Less and less than you think it used to be, because a lot of guys don't even go anymore, especially head coaches. A lot of the business gets done even earlier than before because everybody's trying to get a head start on everybody else, if that makes sense. So even if you go back to the Senior Bowl, people are working on this stuff. And a lot of agents don't even stay for the full combine. There are still meetings, the classic, like, oh, I've got to run because I got to meet I got to meet the Eagles and Howie about my draft prospects. And they always wink and nod, and it's like, okay, which one of your free agents is the Eagles interested in? Like, you have those kinds of conversations, and then you're trying to find stuff out. So there's still plenty of stuff that goes on like that. But I find that it goes on more and more earlier and earlier in the process. And because if you look at this group of free agents, there are some top-heavy guys. Kirk Cousins is really interesting. Chris Jones is really interesting. Madubuike, the kid from Baltimore, is really interesting. But, man, I'm hard depressed. Like, I saw one ranking where somebody had Jadeveon Clowney as the 30th best player on here. I'm like, that's a guy living on one-year contracts now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's not even important. So, to me, there's only really about 25, somewhere between 25 and maybe 35 players who really matter in free agency. Everybody else is picking up crumbs. Even in a time when the cap has gone up to $255 million, it's going to be a lot of guys picking up crumbs. To me, the one that you really wonder about, is what is somebody going to pay Kirk Cousins? And are the Vikings going to finally pony up to what's probably could be $40-45 million a year for him? Or is he going to stay, I'll take a little bit less and I'll stay at $35 million a year to come back to them, or make it more cap friendly. So the number may look good, but I'm really only getting paid, $35 million for the first 2 years or something like that. Like, how is that going to be structured? That to me is the really important question, because Kirk Cousins potentially takes some team off of the board for quarterbacks in the first round.
Jace, this Justin Jefferson potential deal, it's now picked up even more steam since we last talked. I mean, they're asking, they've actually put a trade package together that if they don't want to get rid of the kid. It's not like that's what they're doing here. But if somebody comes in with a treasure chest drove like they did for RG3 when they made that move, with Washington and Los Angeles, and you make a move where you get multiple threes, plus you got to pay the player the amount that he's looking at. He could be making $28 million. I mean, if you're Minnesota, you don't have the quarterback. What's the point of keeping the kid if you're going to go into the draft potentially with a rookie quarterback? I mean, what would you do here? How would you handle this whole thing if you're Minnesota?
Well, somebody had to blow me away with a ton of picks, but other than that, I'm paying the player, because finding players is hard to do. Like, I remember the Dolphins, of all the things under Dave wants that they got ripped for. A lot of people said they ripped them for trading 2 first-round picks for Ricky Williams. Well, if you go back and you look at the players who were picked for Ricky Williams, they didn't add up together to being worth what Ricky Williams was worth to the Dolphins, even for a short period of time, right? He was better than whatever they got. The problem was not taking advantage of what Ricky Williams did, not paying the price. So overwhelmingly, I want to keep the player because the draft is such a crapshoot. The only way I don't keep the player is, am I being offered something that I know I'm going to go up and I'm going to get, am I somehow going to get the wide receiver out of Washington? Am I going to get Marvin Harrison Jr.? Am I going to get a quarterback who then I don't have to pay either Jefferson or Cousins? I'm building around that kid. But overwhelmingly, I want to keep Jefferson, even if I'm letting Cousins go, because Jefferson makes life easier for my next quarterback, who I'm going to have on a controlled salary for some period of time if I'm drafting somebody, right?
Yeah.
So, and like Justin Jefferson is the kind of guy who makes a lot of quarterbacks feel like they're Dan Marino all of a sudden. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to throw the ball up. That guy catches it. I'm amazing. Look at the throw I made to that guy. He made that catch, right? Because I put that ball, 10 feet off the ground, and he was able to leap up and catch it with one hand. That makes me feel like I'm great, right? That's part of the thinking there. So I want Justin Jefferson unless I am completely and totally blown away.
Who do you think makes a bigger impact on a new team this coming season here? Cousins, Russell Wilson, or Justin Fields?
Well, I mean, Cousins is the best of the three at this point in time, and that's hard to say over Russell Wilson, but it's just true. He's a better player. And I think that despite all his sort of weirdness of Kirk Cousins, he's going to come in with a lot of pressure going, I got something to prove. Now, Russell Wilson's going to have a little bit of that too. I don't know that Russell Wilson understands what it's like to be a role. You got to get back to playing your role and not thinking you're the king of the hill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's fallen far enough, especially based on the conversation he just had with Brandon Marshall. Like, I didn't get a good feeling coming out of that conversation, right? Because it was just a little too weird. And Justin Fields, I still believe that Justin Fields could be the best of those three, but he needs the most work. And there's also the greatest amount of doubt. So, the number of outcomes you can have with Justin Fields is much greater than the number of outcomes you're going to have with Kirk Cousins versus the number of outcomes you're going to have with Russell Wilson. That's why I rate them that way. The ceiling is lower for Kirk Cousins. The ceiling is highest with Justin Fields, and then next with Russell Wilson. But the floor is also lower with Fields and a little bit lower with Wilson. And I think the floor is the highest with Kirk Cousins, if that makes sense.
Jason, there's been a lot of drama in Philly this past week and this past
always
2 weeks.
Always is, baby. Always is.
And I'm going to make a point to you here about Kellen Moore here. Like, it's known now that Nick has been reduced to basically a figurehead head coach. The general manager and owner are giving complete autonomy to the coordinators that are in the room here. And I say this, and this is, tell me if you agree or disagree. I say that Sirianni is a stopgap coach, and I'll tell you why. There's no way on the planet, and here's the demise of him. If Kellen Moore wins and they go 14-3, and they turn Jalen Hurts around, and he gets an opportunity to go out and become a head football coach, say maybe they get rid of McDermott in Buffalo, are you really going to put a fourth coordinator for Jalen Hurts in 5 years in Philadelphia, or are you going to play the fail-safe game that you finally have the play-calling head coach so that just like in Kansas City, you can't get rated on your OC any longer, and you have finally stability at the coordinator spot? They just went through this with Shane Steichen. Steichen, again, look at the job he's doing. I don't see Philadelphia moving off of Kellen Moore. So the point is, Nick Sirianni can't do it. If he loses, they fire him. If he wins, they fire him. Do you agree?
I think you've got a pretty good theory going here. It's kind of amazing for a UM guy.
Jace, you see my point here is that one thing in the league, look at all these coaches in the league that are really elite football teams. Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. The one thing that they're insulated by is that the head coach is a play-calling head coach. Philadelphia doesn't have that, so they're going to be gambling every year on picking the right guy for Hurts. Obviously,
all right, let me throw one other thing at you. What if they don't win and it's clearly the problem is the offense, and Sirianni walks in there and goes, "You didn't let me pick my own guy. You picked this guy. Why are you blaming me for him?"
How long do you keep getting away with that?
Well, but that's literally true in this situation, right? And there is a part of this that I would say, look, the worst outcome that Sirianni has is they're really great, and all of a sudden Kellen Moore is in demand. That's the worst situation that Sirianni has, because then it is, okay, well, this guy's better than Sirianni. Let's put him in charge. That definitely is the one. I have some doubts about that because I'm not sure that Kellen Moore's all that good, right?
Right.
Look, they got better in Dallas without him on offense, right?
Yeah.
They got worse in Los Angeles with the Chargers with him, right?
Yeah.
Now, Justin Herbert hurt and all those kinds of things. You can say that. And so there's some mitigating factors, and it's not all.
I think we may have lost Jace. Hopefully we haven't. See if we can reconnect here with Jason here and get his take here again too. Because personally, I agree with him. And again, one of the issues and points that I keep bringing up on this, the stopgap coach of Sirianni, is the fact that no matter what he does, he is a stopgap coach. He is clearly a stopgap coach. No matter what he does, he could win or lose. It won't matter. They are not going to change the coordinator out again. Okay? They just won't. They're not going to go down that rabbit hole again. I can't see them doing that. So at the end of the day here, again, no matter what the success level is, and I have my question marks on Kellen Moore. You know, everybody keeps saying that the organization, now I agree with you, there are upgrades. They have completely upgraded the coordinators from a year ago. But what does that exactly mean, and what does that entail? You got guys down in Miami that are saying that Vic Fangio's style of defensive play calling is outdated. And these were guys that just played with him. And on top of what Xander said yesterday, this guy was part of the game planning and putting the game plan together that cost you a Super Bowl against Kansas City. So come on. It just, you keep saying that you got the right guys. How do you know you have the right guys? Okay? Dude, not only you're going into this offseason with question marks in personnel, but you're still going into question marks with coordinators here. Nobody knows what Vic's going to bring to the table along with Kellen Moore. And by the way, that includes me. Okay? That includes me here in that process. But all I can tell you is this. Not one of these guys have ever led a football team to a Super Bowl. Not one of these teams have ever been on a coaching staff that's helped a team win a Super Bowl. Not one. And I'm supposed to sit here and go like this, these are great hires? Where did you come off with that? Oh, because they're better than what you had? If that's your level of where your starting point is, that's a sad level. That's a sad level. You guys are going, well, they're better than what we had. Well, shit on top of shit is still shit. And you guys keep telling me, well, this guy here, it's going to be a complete upgrade. He's going to turn this defense around, and he'll turn his defense around in whatever. And I'm like, no, he's not. That's our level. We are right. Brian, think about it. Think about it for a second here. You got a lame duck coach, you got two coordinators that you're not sure of, and you got a personnel guy who can't pick college scouting, and he's not very good, or at least defense. And you got to determine whether or not you're going to pay for success. The problem that I have also with the Eagles are people saying this, let's go get this guy in free agency. No, it's not what you do. Because you know why? You're cheap. You don't buy the big bottle of wine or the big bottle of champagne like Dom Perignon. You buy Asti Spumante and put a sugar tablet in it and call it a great champagne. You're cheap. My grandfather did that, by the way, and I love that. So, hey, I'm not taking too much of a shit on that. Okay? Sills, so the fans can't be optimistic about the new staff? Optimistic? Is that, so you mean like rooting? So like rooting, for hoping? Oh, yeah, sure. I don't do that. I don't root for anything like that. I like certainties. Okay? Is he good or not? Well, I hope he's good, and I hope he's this. I hope I hit the lottery. I hope my girlfriend don't cheat on me. I hope this guy's not a bad guy. Hey, whatever. It's stupid shit when you talk like that. Okay? Stupid shit. That's right. Kings fan, thank you very much. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. Awesome. A.J. Brown wasn't cheap. Offense. No shit. I told, and once again, look at Bleed Green, listening to once again, like some of you stonads. Half of what I say. You spend money and equity on offense. You don't know what you're doing on defense. When's the last time you had a good defense? Last year? Let's take a look at this. Last year, right? Is that fair? Is last year you had a good defense? 17-22. All right. Let's take a look at this. Let's go with your front four. Hardgrave, bought and paid for. Okay? No homegrown. Reddick, no homegrown. Edge. Kaiser White, free agent. Safety, trade. Bradbury, free agent. Gardner Johnson, trade. Epps. So you have of year 11 of a year ago, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of your 11 guys were not homegrown on your so-called good defense in 22. You can't draft. Chris goes Queen and Winfield. Well, look at Chris here. Chris says Queen and Winfield. I'll show you how unrealistic Big Chris is. Winfield's 18.4 for safety. And Queen's 21 million for a linebacker. That's 39.4 million for two. A linebacker and a safety. So, Chris, do you think your general manager is going to spend $39 million, $40 million for a safety and linebacker? I'll leave it up to you. What do you think, Chris? Is your general manager the Billy Bean of the NFL? Okay? Are you going to spend? No. I thought the argument was we don't sign free agents. No. You don't spend money on high-priced free agents. The highest paid defender right now you have is Reddick at, the corners. Well, isn't it funny? The three guys that you've paid the most money for, you didn't player develop. You had to go buy them because you're not good at it. Okay? Sills, you just said we don't sign big-name free agents. You don't. You sign guys who have been cut. Who's a big free agent you signed on defense? Who? Reddick was the guy that was cut from Carolina. Okay? That's not true on defense. The two corners are not yours. The Gardner Johnson wasn't yours. Reddick's not yours. Hardgrave wasn't yours. Seven of the 11 starters on defense were not homegrown. So will you not answer? Are you going to spend $20 million on Patrick Queen and $18.4 million on Anton Winfield Jr.? Are you going to do that? Yes or no? Flexen. They come here. Hey, Flexen, always remember something. Just like Xander said, the wonderful thing about it, they come here every day, rain or shine, for 4 hours most of the time, type the same shit, and I thank them for showing up. I suck. Everyone else is better. That's all right. I hate that. I'm saying this, but we should change the Eagles' name to the Philadelphia Band-Aids. Okay? Every day they come here, type the same stuff. By the way, I'll tell you. So I'll tell you, Xander, I'll tell him a little cute story. One of the things that I really love about these last 2 weeks with our show, I got to hand it to the Krauses. They love big sales. Xander, they love big sales because if they didn't, holy shit, man. Yes, sir. I promised I wouldn't say a few names, so I promised I'm not doing it anymore. But I'll say, look at Big Chris saying that Queen's not worth $20 million. Dude, his market value is $21.2 million. Not worth 20. Roquan Smith just got 21 from Baltimore. Absolutely. Edrin Cooper, I would love to draft him. I would absolutely love it, man. Thank you, DC. We really appreciate it, man. Okay? Thank you very much. Absolutely. Wayne, you're wonderful for showing. Thank you. Okay, Sills. No optimism, but you can knee pad Hurts. DL coach because number, what is the hey Bob, do me a favor. You know, you can probably put that in Google and it'll help you formulate some sentences. If not, I'm sure like someone can help you at home. I hope you're okay and feeling right and you're not having a stroke because I have no idea what you're saying there, kid. Are you all right? You having a stroke? Okay. Hey, I'm just here to help. Google it, kid. Might be able to help yourself out a little bit there. Hey, we're going to come up with a lot of new prizes here for some folks that show up every day. You know, it's crazy great. Some of you in here like flexing, get this. Yeah, man, I've sucked for 35 years on the air. It's been crazy, isn't it? I don't know how we get it done. Okay? Look at Matt. Matt sounds like Xander now. Sills is definitely an outstanding heel. What do you know about wrestling, man? Come on, Matt. Okay? So if we gave Queen $20 million a year, would you say it's smart or dumb? It'd be shocking. Here, how about this, Chris? You give a guy who's a really great ball player $20 million a year, and he could stabilize your middle of your defense for the next decade. You think that's smart paying a guy $20 million when the cap is going to continue to go up and you got yourself a 24-year-old middle linebacker that you could build your team around? Might actually help your tackle play in front of you too. Do you think that would be a good idea or a bad idea? Don't ask a stupid-ass question. What do you think, guy? You have a young 24-year-old guy who's one of the top inside linebackers in the game. He could stabilize your linebacker position, which you sucked for decades at, help your tackle play, and not have to worry about the position for a decade. You think that's a good idea or a bad idea? I don't know. What do you think? Good linebackers? What did it do for you last year? You couldn't replace Kaiser. You know what's crazy? You guys keep telling me, was Kaiser White a good ball player for you? Was Kaiser White a good ball player for you? Was he a good ball player? Okay. You couldn't replace him. Look at Rico, serviceable. Okay, let's use Rico's name. Let's use Rico's take. You couldn't replace a serviceable linebacker? You couldn't replace, like LJ says, a nobody? I'm just using your words. He had 117 tackles. Brian says you couldn't replace an okay player who had 117 tackles? Kaiser White had 117 tackles on the 22 defense. And you couldn't replace a nobody, an all right, a serviceable linebacker. These are your words. These are your words. You couldn't replace a serviceable linebacker. Chris is right. Better than any of this year's scrubs. That's the point, Chris. And now you guys are gonna say that how he's gonna spend money on linebacker. There's actual people on my network and on the air in Philly saying, hey, Patrick Queen, one of these big-time linebackers. I gave you the list and the price tag in the shopping list. Here's the shopping list with market value on what these players are going to command in the open market. Hey, get this. You know what really sucks? Is that the salary cap did go up. You guys are right. $255 million? Well, that price some of those defenders out of your league because you know why? Your GM refuses to pay. Refuses to pay. So that you don't have the money. I'm not saying he won't. Jalen Johnson is in $17.3 million corner. You can't because your two corners right now have you in a hole. You're going to have, hey, will you eat dead cap money on Bradbury and move him? You ate dead cap money before with Carson Wentz. Will you do it again? Will you do that again? Here's another great one. We mentioned this in the first hour, just to go over the shopping list. Antonio Winfield is a safety. He's a 7th-rated prospect in free agency. He's worth $18.4 a year. Howie's paying $18 million, $20 million for his safety? Hey, Howie Roseman is going to pay $20 million. Here's the problem you have on defense. Well, Howie use a first. Xander, this is incredibly entertaining. So will Howie draft a safety at first? Will Howie ever use a first rounder at safety? Yes or no? Will he ever use a first rounder to draft a safety? He could have had the kid in Baltimore, but got Jordan Davis instead. Do you think, 11, I'll just take you. You guys there, he'll never draft. Okay. Do you think Howie Roseman would ever spend $18.4 million for a safety? No. So, okay. Let's not go with the highest paid guy. Let me give you another safety. Geno Stone from Baltimore. 44th ranked. 14.5. You think Howie would pay 14.5 for a safety? Look at LJ. Frankie Louiva, his market value right now is $13.2 million. Is Howie Roseman going to pay $13.2 million for, by the way, these aren't my numbers. Are they going to pay $13.2 million to a linebacker? Check that guy off. He's a player. I think he is a player. Is your GM going to spend $12.5 million on Frankie? I'm glad you're good with it, Chris. Okay? That's not a random website. This is from the general manager of the Carolina Panthers, Dan Morgan. Think I go off a website? This is from Dan Morgan. You missed the first hour, Junior. Go back and rewatch it. Love Dan. One of my guys. He loved the fact I voted him into the Hall of Fame in college football, too. Always good. That one's a hard one. Okay. And hey, Dab, that's for sure. Fans think Fangio's going to turn Scrubs into Ray Lewis. All of a sudden, Zach Cunningham is going to be Ray Lewis. Dan, can you get Dan Morgan on after the draft? Probably. I've had him on numerous times. He worked up in Seattle a little bit. I can also get Lonzo Highsmith. He's a senior executive of the college draft for the Patriots now. And they're all at the combines. I was telling Xander, hell of a time getting people on right now because everyone's at the combines. So I can get Highsmith on. He works in New England in the front office and personnel department. I can get on Dan Morgan, the general manager of the Carolina Panthers, the senior executive that helps with the college scouting and pro scouting with the Steelers. We've had Dan, what's his name? Kevin Colbert. He's been on. Telesco, I'm working on him, the general manager of the Raiders. He's been on too. So we'll get all those guys on. I talked to all those guys. This is where I get the numbers from. What's his market value? Oh, this guy's going to command somewhere in the range of $10 to $13 million. Let's see, safety. Here's another one. Julian Blackman, ranked 70th. Is Howie going to pay $9 million for a safety? Is he? Is he going to pay $9 million for a safety? ESPN said the Eagles are in full rebuild mode. Yeah, they absolutely are. Then you had that nice fireside chat going on today. Xander texted me before the show. He goes, "Are you watching this?" I said, "Yeah." So we're here to develop. We got a lot of young, good players on defense. When he said that, I turned it off. I knew it. When he said that, he basically echoed that stupid Liars Club press conference they had at the season ender. He actually said today, we got a lot of young guys who haven't done it yet. How do you know they're good then? Is that an opinion? What are you basing it on? Being in the tub? Kobe Dean is a bust. Yeah, but Sills, he might be a player. We'll never know because he's a schwimp. He's a schwimp. Hey, even me, I'm wrong. Van Ginkel? This guy's a $17.5 million edge rusher. Now, let me ask you this. So you're telling maybe the fifth best edge rusher to go find and see if someone loves you more than us. Do you think hey, let me ask this to you. Do you actually believe in your heart that the Eagles really want – here, let's start here. How many people believe the Eagles really want Hassan Reddick back? How many people believe they want Reddick back? Do you tell a player this? Well, hey, look, if somebody loves you more, let us know. And get this, that dumbass take. Well, he wants too much. You ever hear of the word negotiating? You gave the guy a free lane to leave your organization. Most organizations want to keep guardrails on their top flight players. They don't give them open lanes to leave. That's an open lane to leave. Hey, AJ, we want you back. Why don't you go out in the open market? You'd be gobbled up in a second. Probably at more money. You don't let your best players, you don't talk to your best players like this. Hey, if you could find a better price than what we're paying you now, there's your door. That's basically what they told them. Yeah, I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm saying that is the case. They kind of want him back. Yale asked a great question. What's the value on Reddick? I think it determines what the team is. I think it determines on where you are as a unit and how good, and if you're a piece away. You see, Reddick is a piece away. And by the way, remember something. Have you ever heard of an elite pass rusher cut twice in 4 years? I must have missed J.J. Reddick or Myles Garrett or Khalil Mack or Von Miller waived twice in a 4-year span. I missed that. This guy's been cut, which means they couldn't figure it out. And if you're not here and you want to know why, you want to know why he was cut? Do you want to know why? He was on 2 shitty defenses. Now he's on another shitty defense. That's why he's not worth his value. He's on another shitty defense like he was in Carolina and Arizona. And that's why the Eagles showed him the door and said, you can find a better place, go ahead. Actually, you can look at it as an insult, but you can also go, hey, man, maybe there's a team out there that'll pay you more money. Like San Francisco, they're going to lose Randy Gregory and probably Chase Young. Maybe he goes to San Francisco and he fits into that system because they got the money because they're not paying the quarterback. Get this. Somebody may pay him $25 million, but it ain't going to be Philly. You're missing this. I'm not fighting you on this. I'm telling you what the Eagles are doing. I'm not fighting anybody. They showed him the door. I'm not fighting anybody. Texans have the money. Indianapolis has the money. Washington has the money. Jacksonville has some money. San Francisco doesn't have the money. They're $300,000 or $570,000 under the cap. So they probably don't. Well, it depends. Young, Gregory, they're probably not that much of a difference. So he probably doesn't fit in San Fran because they don't have the dough. Okay? That's right, Wayne. Wayne, like in 22, they didn't have to worry about Reddick's inability to cover tight ends and make tackles. They just wound him up and let him run into quarterbacks. And he was devastating. When he's allowed to do just the one thing, he's great at it. But when you ask him to do multiple things, he can't. And that's why the Eagles don't want to pay him $20 million. Personally, I don't think they want to pay him over $15 million. Bird says, by that logic, trade Reddick. No, they don't want it. Well, maybe they do. You're not understanding what I'm saying, dog. The Eagles opened the door for being traded for him publicly. I didn't say it. They publicly opened the door for him. You guys are crazy, man. Dude, even me, Kyle Duggar, the kid that I recommended from Patriots, he's got a $16.5 million price tag per year annually. He's the 31st highest ranked safety. 16.5? Howie's paying $16 million for a safety. Never happened. This is why when we started the program out, stay in your lane. Now, there's also another angle to this. Stay the course or pivot. Are you going to spend money? If you spend money, your chances of getting back to respectability on defense all of a sudden get greater. But if you decide to say what you said at the combines today, we have a lot of young players on our team that just haven't shown it yet, but we believe in them, then you're not going anywhere. And this is a massive rebuild. Someone go, Sills, you don't really think the offense is a massive rebuild? Fundamentally, I do. With schematically. Yeah. How about this? Would you not agree with all the money you spent on offense last year? The offense underachieved. Did the offense last year under or overachieve? Did they? Well, yeah, they didn't spend any money on the lines because they're on rookie deals at the DT tackle position. The offense underachieved. 20 turnovers, 1-7 down the stretch, and a pathetic showing of offense. Your wide receiver didn't show up. Your big money receiver didn't show up for 9 games. You were outrushed every week from week 11 on. I mean, you had no power running game whatsoever. And your offense, you were being beaten by, you couldn't, how many points did you, get this, what made that whole thing so pathetic? What was the score of the Bucs game, the playoff game? What was the score of the playoff game? Was it 31-7? Was that the score? What was the score? I forget. 31-10? You guys have not only a shitload of talent, 32-9. Flexen, you want to hear something crazy? The Buccaneers, I think, only scored 9 points versus Carolina the week before. And they blasted the Eagles, and the Eagles couldn't score 10 points in the game. And they overachieved? And you spent all that money? Sills, can the team say rebuilding with a $50 million quarterback? That's traditionally what happens when you – now, it's not fair to say that because Jalen Hurts' contract doesn't really hurt the team. It hurts the owner's pocketbook more than it does the cap. One thing that I'll say to you, if you don't mind giving the kid $50 million for 20 turnovers and you want to talk about developing him, giving him a couple years, that's one thing. The owner probably is pissed off because he's not getting his investment in return or his return on investment. But when it comes to the cap, your corners cost you more equity in the cap than your quarterback does. Your corners are killing you. They're just killing you. I want you to think about what the Bucs did to you. The Bucs couldn't score more than 9 points versus Carolina in the playoff game. And you couldn't score 10 points with all that millions of dollars on offense. You couldn't score 10 points on the Bucks. The Bucks. And that was by far, you know what? The Cowboy and Niner game were embarrassing, but to get destroyed by the Bucks, who you had beaten earlier and crushed, and you couldn't put 10 points up against them, that was embarrassing. That was the most embarrassing loss of the year, even against Seattle. Completely embarrassing. 10 points with all that money and your boy AJ. Woo-ha. Man, how you doing? Absolutely. Of course under? Seriously? Of course they under. Chris says, of course they under. Oh, wait a minute, Chris. Oh, this was all Brian Johnson's fault. Not Jalen. Not the players. It's all Brian. You have to have a scapegoat. And then you keep the billy goat. And Nick. Nick's the billy goat. He ain't a goat. He's the billy goat. Hey, and don't get it confused here. Okay? Don't get it confused. All right? You got a good organization. You just can't get out of your own way. AJ was hurt, that's right, for the Buck game. He was at a boxing match in Atlantic City with his buddies drinking, watching the game. Hey, man, there's my boys. Real commitment. AJ Owens in Vegas at a boxing match. Boxing on Sunday. Hanging out at the bar with my boy Philly Godfather there in AC. Shaking it up, man. Pulling the lever. Blackjack. Hey, there's my team getting murdered on Sunday. How you doing? Blackjack. Yes, sir, baby. AJ Owens. Can't get any better than that guy, man. Woo. Oh, man. Snake eyes. Yes, sir. Snake eyes. Hey, I don't want to be with my team. I'm going to hang out with the girlies in AC, baby. You got it. Let's go here, man. Rock and roll. Swift 10 carries. Oh, because you had a dominant run game. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. AJ is now in nah, he ain't that bad. Who's the one guy, Le'Veon Bell, who used to put his tweets upside down and was kind of like, who was that serial killer out in San Francisco who used to do all that stuff? Zodiac. This guy, Le'Veon Bell would give you like Zodiac, like tweets. The rebel is the devil. And you had to turn your tweet upside down to read it. Oh, okay. He hates Pittsburgh. Wayne says, Dan, have you ever seen a team quit like that in all your years of football? I've never seen a nuclear meltdown like that on a team that was 10-1. I've never seen that in my entire life, watching a team just nuclear meltdown like that. Absolutely not. I've never seen that. Yeah. No, AJ Owens was making it rain. It just shows me what kind of lack of heart and will that you have in the locker room with your players too. It's time for a complete rebuild. You got to get a lot of the cancers out of your locker room. You got a bunch of cancers in there. Guy from the Enquirer reported on it today. What's his name, Xander? Marcus Haynes? Marcus Haynes? I've seen him on with Birds. Am I saying it right? Said that the locker room has guys in the locker room whispering again like they did with Wentz and Foles. They treat everybody different. They treat Jalen different than this guy over here. Then treat that guy over there. Shut up and play. Collect your paycheck and earn your place and earn your Earn your spot in the locker room, not by moaning and bitching and crying. And as I started my show out, and I'll do it again, this is the only time I'll ever defend Nick here in this. Treating everyone the same. I don't treat Queasy Watkins like Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown for a reason. You know why? You're a marshmallow. You've got brick hands, and you whine. A.J. whines, but he's productive. And the only reason he's on my team is because he is productive. Because if he wasn't, A.J. Owens wouldn't be on my team. But he's productive. You, Queasy, you're a marshmallow. I mean, he's probably the only wide receiver in pro football that could get his ass kicked in a pillow fight. I mean, my God almighty, this guy won't fight for footballs on the field. I guarantee you, this guy would get his ass kicked in a pillow fight. He's an off-season elite receiver. He tells you all the time how good he is. You got guys in your locker room crying that some guys are being treated differently. This is the woke-ass mentality that some of you have, that everybody should be treated equal. Oh, why? How come he gets treated better than me? Because you suck and he's good. You know, but everybody should be, no, we're not talking about talking to you like a man. Everyone should be spoken to with respect in a locker room. Yes. But when it comes to guys getting, like Jason Kelce, not having to practice, okay, he gets that latitude. He's going to Canton. Hassan Reddick wants $30 million. He better be giving me JJ numbers on the year. $30 million for a guy that was cut twice in the last 4 years. That guy's smoking hash if he thinks that. Seriously, I want what he's smoking. I mean, $30 million, that guy is delusional. We got a bunch of delusional dudes in that locker room. $30 million. There's not a person in here that would believe $30 million. How about this? Nobody in their right mind would believe that. That he would. Nobody would believe that. Nobody in their right mind would believe that. And he wants 30. If he came into my locker room and then into my general manager's office and said, hey, I want $30 million a year and I like to have 90 over 3, I'd go like this. Get out. Get out of here. I don't, you know what? Find a place and go. Just go. I don't want you here anymore. $30 million. So let me ask you this. Did Snead get tagged in Kansas City today? Did he get snagged, Snead? Did the Chiefs snag or snag? Did they tag him in Kansas City? Pete says, how about sign? I mean, Hassan was never cut. Arizona didn't cut him. Carolina didn't cut him. So Carolina traded him to who? The Eagles? Oh, I missed that. Forgive me, Paul. I must have forgot that the Eagles what the Eagles give up for him? I forgot what they gave up for him. It must have been what was the trade? What did we give Carolina? I forgot what they gave him. I'm being serious. Oh, he was a free agent. So they let him walk out the room. They didn't cut him. Cut him, free agent. They didn't re-sign him. Okay. Excuse my terminology, Jeff. This ain't a democracy. It's a meritocracy. Dictatorship. Ship up or ship out. That's right, Q. That's right. Oh, yeah, he wasn't cut. They just said later. Not cut, but shown the door. Ah, okay. So you like to be talked to kindy too, don't you? Like AJ Owens does. I got it. Reddick wasn't cut. They just let him walk out in free agency. Okay. Yeah, man. Unbelievable. I just want to know who. I don't believe that. Hey, you know what? I'm going to go here. I just want, because you know why? Yeah, Joe goes like this. Reggie White was a free agent. Yeah, because you know what your owner said? Reggie White's overrated. He's overpaid. And his best years are behind him. So they let him walk out the door. The greatest defensive lineman pass rusher in the history of the league, Norman Brayman, let him walk out the door because he thought he was overrated. His best years were behind him, and he didn't want to pay him. That's more the point. You let the best player in Eagle history walk out the door, and you got nothing in return for him. Solid. You might as well just come in my garage and steal a Ferrari. Hey, you can have it. I don't want it. It's overrated, overhyped, overpriced. Nah, that's all right. I'm not going to try to trade it or sell it. Go ahead, you can leave. Imagine that. You talk about an insult. Then he became the highest paid non-quarterback or one of the highest paid players in the league. Didn't Reggie become one of the highest paid players in the league? Okay. Right? I don't own a Ferrari, dog. I own a Ferrari jacket, but I don't own a Ferrari. Hey, Pete, Joe Bander called Brian Dawkins just a safety. I am not thinking that's right either. That's not thinking that right either, man. Brian Dawkins just a safety? No, it's not. No. No. That's not the case. Absolutely not. Okay? My point is, not being a free agent doesn't make you a bum. No, it just means that the team you were on didn't need you. And it was 2 years in a row. And now we have another team basically telling him, and how about this? How about this one, Joe? If he was a free agent, do you think they would let Hassan Reddick walk out the door? I do. They're showing him the door now, and he's got another year. What would make you think they wouldn't just have shown him the door? They wouldn't have re-signed him if he was a free agent. Not a chance. I would never have. I don't. That's what Joe Benner called Brian Dawkins, just a safety. And he could be replaced, and he went to Denver. Dude, Brian Dawkins is, hey, Ed Reed's better. But Brian Dawkins is in the room. Okay? He's in the room, Pete. Ed's the greatest safety of all time. And that's Belichick and everyone talking. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. He's the greatest special teams. How many 100-yard punt returns did he return back for TDs too? Brian goes, I'll take 20. You're not going to lose there. But remember something. Brian Dawkins is not as decorated as Ed Reed. He's not. Ed Reed, I think, is a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 10-time Pro Bowler, 10-time first-team All-Pro. I mean, I think he's first in interceptions in the postseason, some crazy shit like that. Reed's the best player in the history of the University of Miami, in my opinion. We've had quite a few. Guys are going in every year still to this day in the Hall of Fame. Reed's the greatest Miami hero, and I'm okay saying that. Hendricks, Otto, Irvin, Kelly, Sapp, Kennedy, Johnson, Hester, all them guys. He's the best. I think we now have 12 Hall of Famers. Most of them have come in to the Hall of Fame since Jim Kelly. So, and then we're going to put probably another 5 into the Hall of Fame. Ray Lewis. Ray's probably second. Okay? Ray's second. Helped recruit him out of Orlando. Story with Ray. Nobody gave him a scholarship till the final week. Get this. I think it was Randy Shannon. Randy goes, Sills, you're in Orlando, right? I think it was Randy. I go, yeah. He goes, I want you to go talk to this kid, Ray Lewis. I go, what happened? He goes, we got a scholarship open. And I'm like, okay, how come he's not signed? Camp starts next week. So I went and talked to Ray. And I looked at him and I go, you're not signed? He goes, no. I go, why? He goes, I waited too long. My mom was sick. And I'm like, hang on. I called Randy right away. I go, this guy, he wasn't even in the University of Miami media guide his freshman year because he signed so late. He goes on to being arguably the greatest middle linebacker in pro football history. I sat there with him and I go, Florida State reneged. They don't want to give me the scholarship. And I was like, yeah, well, we're working this out here. We sat there with his mom and my wife. We took him to dinner and they signed it all up and we got Ray Lewis signed. And next day he was on his way to Miami. And guess who the linebacking core was? John Beeson, Jonathan Vilma, and Ray Lewis. And then the defensive line was Vince Wolfirk and Warren Sapp. That's the defensive guys. Crazy how good that program was. Devin Hester, greatest returner of all time. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let me take a timeout. Hit the like button, please. We'll reset. We'll take her home. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Please hit the like button. We appreciate you doing that. Man, you see Richard Sherman got arrested for DUI. I mean, this guy's a Stanford dude. You would think you're smarter than that. Don't give these people anything. Xander again, right? Take my own advice. Don't give these people anything because they're always coming for you. And with the amount of guys that are now looking for jobs in broadcasting, that's one thing I said I would never do in my entire life. You will never, ever hear Big Sills arrested for DUI. If I'm driving and going somewhere, like I'll tell you sometimes, like when my wife goes and sees my daughter and she gets on an air, and I have to pick her up late when like she gets in, I won't drink that entire day. I won't have anything. I do not and will not ever be in that position where you get pulled over and somebody arrests you for DUI. It ain't happening. Look, I get people like registrations and you're shocked that maybe your license got suspended. Okay? These people are coming for you like Richard Sherman. I mean, you're never going to get the latitude with the public or with people in the public. You're just not. They're always going to side against you, that you think you're better than everyone else. You see, you can't have that. And Richard Sherman probably going to lose his gig at Undisputed and also may even lose a Thursday night gig. It's a damn shame, man. You got to know better. I blame him. He says he had 2 margaritas. Come on, guy. You don't get pulled over for 2 margaritas. You get pulled over because you're sloppy. And you're sloppy and you're swaying and shit. Come on, dog. Will you try him? Okay, I mean, that's right, Brian. Plus, you ain't ever going to get me in a position where I potentially could kill a kid or a family member because I'm hammered. That ain't working for me. That ain't working. Not happening. Hey, man, I hope it is cough medicine. They held him in jail for 3 days. Okay? 2 margaritas. He's kind of a lightweight because that's my favorite drink. I like the little girly drinks. I'm more of a girly drink kind of guy. I remember when I got DUI, you think it won't happen to you. Then boom. Hey, Dirty. And listen, you probably went like this. I can handle a couple beers. I had 3 beers. You feel good, right? All of a sudden you get pulled over. You get pulled over because you were just doing something stupid, like maybe looking in the rear view because the cop makes you nervous. He pulls you over. He gives you a breathalyzer. You're nabbed. The beer really didn't affect you. You could have got home, but still you got a DUI and you're like, right? That's probably what happened to you, right? You were like, you had a couple beers. You were ready to roll. You were cool. Cop decided because he smelled alcohol on your breath to give you a breathalyzer. Dude, 2 beers put you over the limit. 2 beers put you over the limit and you're hosed. Even if it really didn't affect you. and you're driving. How many people look in the rear view, see a cop, and all of a sudden you're swaying because you're trying to drive your car looking in the rear view. The cop pulls you over. Oh, my cop friend told me something. Always do this when you're pulled over. This is a little advice. You know when a cop comes to the window and he says this, you know why I pulled you over? Never say yes, I know why. Because you automatically admit your guilt. Don't. My cop friend told me that. Don't ever. You always hear this. Officer, do you know why I pulled you over? No, I have no idea. Well, you were speeding back there in a 55-mile-an-hour zone at 70. You could debate that in court. Tried tequila and cranberry. Oof, that's a great one. That's a great drink. And it's not playing dumb, but don't give them the answer to the question. That's how you keep yourself where you can go to court and question it. Hey, Wayne goes, Stills, 300 pounds. How many margaritas does it take? Takes a few. Now, I'll tell you what I like to do. Like, you catch Big Sills drunk sometimes at a local elevator near you if I'm staying at a hotel. Like, Big Xander puts me up in a big old hotel somewhere. Big Sills could be drunk and I could get a DUI on an elevator ride going down to the bar and up, you know. I could get that. And you could be like Jimmy from the Colts. Jim Irsay, you mean? With his prescription pads, open bottles, and, you know, $30,000 in a seat. Shit, if that's me or you, death row, we're under the jail. Kidding me? Yeah, right? Look at Pete. Pete's a big gunner here. I need more than 5 margaritas to get me nice. Oh, man, right? Riding the elevator all night at a posh hotel, right, Joe? That's not the only thing I'm riding. How you doing? Oh, man. Did you hear those? Did you hear those geeks talking at the press conference? Hey, I got to tell you, Xander, I hate to do this, man. Okay. But I gotta say this. So I'm listening to the press conference. Oh my God, the nerd alert was high. Okay. Hey, Xander, the nerd alert was high. Yeah. You know what Xander just said? All you got to do is check Dan's Twitter, and you can start to see if they're getting more obnoxious. Okay. I usually get a text from Xander. Hey, big fella, how we doing? What? Oh, shit. Thank God I got someone watching over me. And then you get this. Why? Why, USOB? Why? Why? I don't know. Because you can't help yourself and you're an egomaniac. That's why. No, but I don't care. All love. Only teammate. See, the difference here at JAKIB versus the Eagles, we could sit and talk shit to one another in our locker room. Now that things have the proper teammates. Okay? And you're good now. You're all right. Do they give you knee pads when you get to the press conferences? I don't go to press conferences because you have to wear knee pads when you go. Wait, let me finish the deal. So I'm watching the Nerd Alert, known as the press conference at the Combines that the Eagles put on. And Howie was like, oh, yeah. So he was asked a question about Shane. Hey, what do you make of Shane? The job that he's done. A Colts reporter? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, then you're qualified. Well, this is, Shane is really kind of like a savant kind of guy. And he has really high thinking. He's got all ball on his mind. And I know he's got all this money now. I thought he was going to give me a pair of sneakers. Everyone knows that I love sneakers, or like a watch or something, or a really nice gift. And, he came over and we just started talking, and he gave me a book. I was like, hey, if the nerd alert wasn't high already, man, hey, I wish I was back in high school playing dodgeball and he was on the other side. He's the guy you smash in the head with the dodgeball. He's the first guy you blast. When you play dodgeball, you look for the wormy guys. Holy cow. What a nerd. I was like, oh, it was a jacket. Right. He said, he gave me a green jacket. It doesn't fit me because, we don't have the same body type. I didn't know what to say. Then I gave it to Nick. Then Nerd 2 came over. Big Sills was a jock bully. I was not a bully. I beat up bullies. I don't like people picking on other people like that. I didn't like big guys picking on people who couldn't defend themselves. No, I wasn't a bully. That's not true. But I did kick a lot of people's asses. But it wasn't people that couldn't defend themselves. Why fight someone you can beat up? That means you have an illness. I like people that I think I'm not sure I could beat up. That's the people where you get your life, and that's how you toughen yourself. Not always beating people you can beat up and you can beat up. You know what that makes you? Weak. You don't beat the weak up. You protect them. Okay? You beat bad folks up. Elderly, children, animals, I'll always defend. Asshole guys, got to break glass. You got to break glass. John goes, Sills, I'd pay you to roll into the no. Oh my God, are you kidding me? I'd be moved out of there in cuffs. And I'd be calling Big Joe and Xander to come get me. I hope they would. Hey, guess where I'm at? They just cuffed me at the NovaCare Center. Big Dom. I'm cuffed to the gate. The guys that held the sign out there, run the ball. I'm cuffed to a garbage can. I'd love to have a beer with you, Sills. I'd love. We have a lot of fun, man. Absolutely. I'm a fun dude. I'm taking Sills over Big Dom every day. I think I have him in the footwork. But then again, hey, I saw Big Dom against Greenlaw, man. And then here's the problem that I have with Dom. I think Dom put the juju on Greenlaw in the Super Bowl because, he was working the Super Bowl. I don't know, man. All of a sudden, like, the injury sniper hit him. He's going on the field and his Achilles blew out. I think it's the Maloik that he dropped on his ass. But just like this, and all of a sudden, Greenlaw changed the game, man. That's when Mahomes started running around. Oh my God, that is freaking funny. Griffin, don't worry. Jack Fritz will console you on IP during your therapy sessions. My God. Let's give him a standing ovation. This guy's great. I have a way different opinion of him now. AJ Owens. Yeah. Sills, who was tougher, Animal or Hawk? Oh, come on, man. I've never been asked that. They're both tough as shit. Both tough as shit. I wrestled Hawk, never Animal. So with that, I got to go Hawk. Okay? Say Hawk. Okay? Yeah. Dan's a lover. Hey, I'm a lover now. That's right. I don't raise my hands at anybody anymore. I'm done with that. I just raise my voice now. Don't worry, Xander. No emails or texts tonight. I'm on my best behavior. Yeah. I'm working on 2 hours sleep because of you, Xander. I blame you. So excuse me, folks. If I had a little shitty attitude today, I'm blaming Xander. Son of a B kept me up all night. Bastard. Ultimate Warrior's good, folks, too. All right. So do you guys know how many people are going to check out the combines? 35 million people. There's even some places that are saying potentially 40 million people are going to watch a guy in shorts run 40s from Wichita State. I mean, right? Crazy. There's going to be that kind of coverage on this thing. Don't lie, Sills. Those rugby refs. Oh, geez. I got that this weekend. My kid's home, and I think we're going to run into those maniacs this weekend. So I thought I'd get hey, what do you think, Dirty D? I'm going to get a Bobby Valentine mustache, and I'm going to put the Bobby Valentine mustache on, and I'm going to put like a unibrow on, and I'm going to sit in the stands, and hopefully they won't know who I am. And I'm going to get a fedora and wear a fedora because I think I got to be hiding because there's a chance they could throw me out of the stadium this weekend. All right. Guys, we're awesome, man. Thank you guys so much. Hey, by the way, to some folks' chagrin, Carton's coming on Thursday. I got that confirmed. And I think Mike Gullick's coming on tomorrow. So we'll get him on. We'll kick it around with Mike and get his thoughts on what's going down. Xander, Big Joe, thank you. And we will catch you tomorrow, 2 to 6, and we shall see you on the flip side.